Didn't go live. I've hit go live. Last time on Trekyards.
We talked about phasers.
Yeah, I was thinking too. I'm like, what the hell was the last one
Because
we did?
my brain's thrown to Darmok. We did a bonus one, which is why I kind of. And this is also a bonus one, but it's a shifted one, guys. Because I am going to be filming on Thursday, this Thursday, for the Star Trek fan film Hours to Doomsday, the Doomsday Machine short film. While we have not been funded, got half funded, or even a third funded, or close, and if all the money's not in, I'm still committing to at least film one more. Because at least there is some money coming in. So I'm making that commitment. We're filming it on Thursday. And so I'm not going to be around Thursday. And you'll be surprised not around Wednesday either. Because, boy, I got to wake up early. Oh, no. I can literally say good morning to you, Stuart, because you won't be asleep by the time I wake up, knowing you. That's how early I have to wake up, pretty much.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Well, when I do my late night lives, people are like, it's 4 a.m. here or 5 a.m. here. I'm going to bed now. It's like, ha. It's like 11 o'clock or 12 here.
It's also not for you, though. That's the point. It's for the other groups. Like, this is the medium one.
Yeah.
Well, the Australians must love you. It's like, oh, mate, it's like 12 afternoons. Lovely. It's like, yeah. Seems just for you.
Yeah, I actually
guys.
got a lot of Australians during my late night lives. Now that I think about it,
I think we can all agree that was one of the best accents you've ever heard. I think we can all agree. Maybe we can't agree on the top 10, but we can agree on that.
Yes. Sure. Yes. But today, guys, top 10 two-parters. I hated everything about doing this list.
Oh goodness.
I didn't realize there were so many, and it's like I'm not sure I even got them all, but
sure.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I do like my order, though.
I mean, there is a finite number, and I actually found this relatively easy because the ones that stand above for me stand above, and we found through other discussions that some we both agree are definitely not on this list, and so there's quite a few we just throw instantly no, and so for me the ones that stood above, it's just a matter of I'm not gonna say quote my 10 to 7 or like necessarily in the right order. But I think my top few, at least personal to me, are definitely up there.
Yeah, same here. I would give that caveat as well.
Number 1 for both of us. This is Descents, part 1 and 2. 100 Descent. Oh wait, we're doing top worst.
My number one is Discovery, and That Hope Is You, part 1, first episode of season 3, and then part 2 is this last episode. Because that's how you do two-parters.
My two-parter is Unification part 2 and then part 3. 30 years later. Because that is an interesting concept, Stuart. I have not included, because I think that would sort of defeat the point of being 2. But could you include the Enterprise 3-parters in this sort of context?
I thought that as I was looking at the Enterprise list, going, these are like 2 3-parters here by themselves, but they're not labeled as such. So no, because they kind of went with the serialized arc a little bit. So
yeah, that'd be too much of a pivot. Because then Enterprise is the only one, and having 2 hours is long enough for things like All Good Things and Endgame, whatever. But to have like 3 hours is like that's a lot of extra content, to tell a story. So it might be a deeper story because they have more time, etc. But Stuart, I can start sharing, and hopefully you guys can help us out. We'll see in a minute. I'll see in a minute.
All right, cool. Ozzy says, "How was your hot chip last night?" It was good. Actually had some today as well this afternoon, but I'm not going to be getting that bag done anytime soon. So, all right, 33 people here, 26 likes, guys. That is great. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We would really appreciate that, and it does help us out. So, also make sure that you send a super chat if you want to let us know your thoughts on the ones we bring up or how your list will look. This was a really hard one to do, in my opinion. And I really dreaded everything about it, but here we are. We've kind of got through it now, so we'll see how it goes here. So yeah, hit that like button, guys. If you want to super chat and support the channel, please consider doing so. Already got 2 super chats in here that we'll read once Daniel gets back. And another way to support the channel, of course, is by joining the channel. Hit that join button down by the subscribe button and help us on a monthly basis that way. Or you can also head on over to Patreon/Trekyards. It's another way to help us on a monthly basis. So they all support the channel. They all help us out, and we really appreciate all of that. So if you can, please do. Don't forget to check the links in the description of every video. Every video has a lot of cool stuff down there. I'm probably going to add a few more because there's a few channels that I'd like to share. My good friend Cliff Simmons, who does the Quarantine Bartender. Look up the Quarantine Bartender on YouTube and subscribe to his channel. He's probably got I got him like 10, 11, 12 extra subscribers last night. He's only at like 23 subscribers now or something. So if you can go subscribe to the Quarantine Bartender, please do so. And also DFH Studios, a good friend of mine as well. So I'm probably going to be add those things down there as well, because there's a lot of good content from both those guys. So I want to share that with you guys. So if you're able to, please consider doing that. In the meantime, thank you everybody here. And don't forget, you can save yourself money on Eagle Moss models and stuff as well, with the links in the description down below and the discount codes and things. So we're here to help you out. You're here to help us out. Let's work together and make something great. And thank you all for joining us today. Yeah, so hopefully this is not going to be a two-part episode, although it kind of might be, because we do have another idea for another one that we'll probably do later this week. But we will see how that goes. And it's kind of in line with the two-parter thing, but we'll talk about that probably near the end, unless Sammy wants to talk about it now, which maybe he does. I don't know. But
what am I talking or not talking about?
I was just going to say we have another idea that kind of ties in.
Oh, yes. Yep. Say it.
And that's like the best cliffhangers. So we might do the 10 best cliffhangers in Trek, which a lot of these will be back for that one. But I don't think they'll rank the same, because it's the dun 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 dun, and then so that'll be a thing later this week.
Yeah, when I pitched it, I was like, they sound the same, but they don't mean the same. Yeah. So I think I'll be really interested to see how we justify those. Yeah. Sorry, well said. Ooh.
All right, so Sergeant Roadkill here is with 2 pounds and says, "Where is the filming taking place?"
In my house. Home office. Originally, the last 3 films were filmed, well, apart from Long Way From Home was filmed at the old university I went to. They allowed me to use their blue screen, then green screen studio, as well as, and I would sort of help teach some students that would come along. But because of COVID, etc., I wouldn't even dream of asking for it. There'd be no point, and restrictions would make it pointless. So I've been investing in a home studio over the last year and a half. Part of it, the kit was to do work at events doing green screen, so I've sort of built up in one way or another. And then knowing COVID, I was like, well, I built more stuff. So home studio, and it may just about work. I can film 1 person well, but we're going to try 2 people, and then 3. So we'll see. But yeah, my house. It's going to get very busy very quickly.
Eugene, 1,500 rubles.
Ooh.
Thank you so much, Eugene. Is it only 2-parters? More than 2 will be mostly DS9 and Enterprise, mostly. P.S. Seen news about JJ doing DC. He can't keep getting away with it. But he will, because he knows the right people.
And he has got commercial successes, just creatively
shit
ones.
Yes.
And if there's...
Just don't touch a franchise, a pre-existing franchise. Do your own thing.
I mean, if he doesn't write it, or have any control over the storyline, he's good. Yeah. If he has any creative control, it goes to JJ quality.
Yeah.
But he's like his brother, I think, wrote some comic books with him, etc. He's very heavily into it. And we can't even say, like, well, he's better at Star Wars. Yeah, he did Star Wars twice. He did Mystery Box without any good payoffs. Then, you know what I mean? So he didn't even do Star Wars very good. So he's proven to be not worth, etc., etc.
Yeah, and as for the first part, Eugene, these are ones that are specifically 2-parters that say part 1 or part 2 generally. So, that's what we're doing.
A clear part 1, part 2 with a payoff and a conclusion, etc. But yes, Matt Ballman does say it's his birthday on the 13th, which is right around the corner. I said to him I would make him a little video message from my 2 cast members in character as their characters to him. Like, here, actors, act something, quick, improv, so you don't know. Go, do. It's going to be awfully good. Awfully good.
Yes. We got some birthdays coming up too. Mine's coming up. Yours is coming up. So we're going to have some birthday celebrations on some weekends, sometimes. So stay tuned for those as well, guys.
Yes, there'll be some. We have a habit of making those quite big. I think our very first drunk live was a birthday one, and it was excellent. It changed the entire channel. So yeah,
Yeah. Back in the day.
And there's a couple of boozers outside. We've been slowly building for.
Mine's been depleting. I got to go buy some. I haven't been out and.
That's happens when you gently drink with the audience every Friday. You know, the Friday hangout.
Yeah. I'm not turning into an alcoholic, guys. Don't worry.
Well,
Just,
boy, it means you're gonna be way more like because normally we don't either of us drink very much. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have a lot more tolerance. I get for Olivia makes me drink a lot more than they make you drink. At least for the first like 2 hours. Then you get piled on more for a bit.
Yeah.
But by that point, I'm already gone. So anyway, hi guys.
Eugene asks, so does Unification count? Unification is clearly a 2-part episode. Stop with the Unification Part 3 thing. Just
that's more an epilogue anyway. Like in the yes, it is a 3. I would say a 3-part, but you could easily say and also it's a 2-parter.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. Well, there's another one that's like a ceremonial 3-parter, but it's not. So you could sort of look at it that way. Anyway. So Stuart, I believe you're going first because I was first last time. Because I maybe got first last time, so you're first this time. So Stuart, then.
All right.
What is your? Let me swap to the premiere. Boop. Let's make sure that is. What is your number 10 in the list of top 10 2-parters for Tall Tartwek?
My part 10 or my part 10? No, my number 10 is Encounter at Farpoint. Actually. Some people might not consider this good enough to make it to the list. However, this was reintroducing everybody to Star Trek. A new era, a new time, a new look, a new feel.
Was it possibly the next generation of Star Trek?
You could say that.
You could.
You could. I don't think they would, though. That's just kind of a...
It's on the nose.
Yeah.
It's right there.
But no, there was so much cool stuff to see, and it was so thrilling to see Star Trek back on TV and to see the new ship, everything was so shiny and new and looked so great. So this holds a very special place, I think, and should be in the top 10 for that very reason. I'm sure there might be other ones that are more action-packed, a little bit better written, and looking back on them, better quality. However, this one I think holds a very special place for me at least, and I really wanted it in here. So it did just get that 10 slot. That's how I started my list because I had a whole bunch of them in front of me. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? Encounter at Farpoint has to be there. It's going to be 10. Boom. And I kind of went from there. So, yeah, that's where we stand.
And Eugene clarifies he meant Unification 1 and Unification 2. It's not called Unification Part 2. Yeah, if it's clearly meant to be a Part 1 and Part 2 of the same story, that's a Part 1, Part 2. It doesn't need to be called Part 1, Part 2 for it to be a Part 1, Part 2.
Yes. That's why we said mostly have Part 1 and Part 2 here.
Yeah. Anyway, wow. I mean, I absolutely agree with everything you said. I would just probably put this on one of my worst 10 top 10s for quality of episode. I think you would probably as well, but that's not, I guess, how you define this list, which is fine. You've explained yourself well. But it's definitely not on my list.
I really like the concept, the premise.
Oh, I know. Well, we did review it, and we were more praised than we thought we were going to be. But it's as far as I can recall, it's got a chunk of crap and a chunk of decent, and it mixes weirdly.
It does, and like I said, and going back and rewatching it after watching everything else that's come after, it's kind of like ooh, cringe a bit. But like I said, very special place in all of Star Trek history. So I think it really needs to be on this list as one of the better 2-parters for that reason. And
although it's a technicality, you could also argue it's one of the most expensive 2-parters ever made because they built everything.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I'd love to know. I assume Voyager had the most expensive sets because they're quite elaborate, although maybe Enterprise. I mean, not including Discovery and such. I wonder which pilot had the biggest set construction cost. Because you would think potentially it was more expensive earlier when it takes more to create more. I know that this bridge was very elaborate for the time with all its curves and such. But the next one has like a lot more LEDs and such, but then they were cheaper at the time. So if anybody knows, but I imagine this is very expensive. I mean, that engineering set still, I mean, that's like a blow away. Like, oof, what a set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Discovery might have been more expensive because they didn't even have the budget to build a goddamn engineering room. Apparently, engineering rooms aren't important because they didn't build one for the JJ films either. Even though they had a really cool concept drawing of one.
Yeah.
But they ran out of money, so they did it in a brewery. Matt Boardman, though, $5. I really love Encounter at Farpoint. Is it perfect? No. But I really love the beginning of the journey feel and innocence to it. Yeah, that's a great way to describe it as well. And plus the fact it gets revisited again in All Good Things. And you're kind of like, oh, yeah, that's how shit looked.
That is true.
Yeah, it's a special one. So
no, it is. It is. It's like The Cage and These Are the Voyages. Neither are actually very, very good, and they have very like glaring flaws, but they each have a unique energy. By the very nature of one being a very first pilot with a different concept, the other one being a very different, also pilot, different vibe. So this is also like a different vibe. It's a microcosm of itself, and the fact that it was a story, they were told to make a two-parter. Gene came in and invented another part. Doesn't meld particularly well. But the sad thing is, the best bit's the new bit. So the original story wasn't very good. Not really. Like, it's a low, like, whatever it's like 3, 4 out of 10, whatever. But the other stuff, the Gene stuff, was really, really good. And was such a defining moment in the show. Like, without that, it would have been incredibly vanilla. But it is the other thing. It is both. Yeah, it's a very, very weird one, for sure. Very, very weird one.
Listen, Jericho says, does Farpoint count as it was shown in its completion? Yes, it does count. Absolutely.
But it wasn't always shown in completion in every country and whatever. I remember seeing it as part 1 and part 2 with a split. So, it's a part 1 and part 2, you know, except when it isn't.
Yeah,
with everything. Although we did watch it, I believe, as a split. I actually preferred it as a split because it changed the. Or did we watch it as a duo? We did something. Or did we watch it as 1?
I think we watched it as 2.
Okay, well, there's something that we did that was change the whole vibe. It was best of both worlds. But we actually, that one we didn't. We just gave it a few days and then.
Yes, best of both worlds we definitely split up. I think we did with this one too, though.
Yeah, I thought we did it.
I don't remember. I don't remember the beginning of our journey, Samuel.
It's been a long 3 years watching too much Star Trek. I feel like we did it in one night and then the next night, and so let me go. Let me just search.
You go check. And yeah, guys, we're very eager to hear your thoughts on this as well. Your list, your thoughts on our picks.
2.5 hours.
Yeah. So let us know in the chat or the super chat. And by the way, guys, hit that like button. 68 people here, 49 likes. Wow, we're just at the 50 mark. Hit the like button. All right, Samuel.
Hello.
Let's get your list started here. What is the beginning of your top 10 two-part journey?
Dark Frontier. I think that's what it's called. Dark Frontier. The Voyager Borg 7 of 9 journey, where she chooses to go back to the Borg. This is the sort of the culmination, besides Endgame, of all the Borg development, all the Voyager development, all the great CG. We've now got all the prop sets, costumes for First Contact, which means it looks really big budget. We have a lot of time with the Diamond. We get a lot of inner workings of the Borg. We get to see Annika's... that's a good Freudian slip. Annika's parents. That's actually the case. We get to see one assimilated, beautiful moment. We get to see a lot of really interesting stuff, and the whole turmoil of, well, it's been 2 years or 2 or 3 years of her being free. Does she want to go back? Does Jeremy even want to save her? They do save her. Delta Fly gets destroyed, I believe, in this one. Or maybe the other one. It's a little hard to remember exactly what happens. I have to refresh a little bit because I've been stressed with time today. But this one is a very, very good Borg two-parter. They obviously put the money in. They obviously did a lot of good concepts. You never see this perspective before in the heart of the Borg. And you get those great flashbacks with Annika's parents and see that journey and see the Raven and just... It's very... it feels really high budget because it was.
I just want to clear a few things up.
Yep.
Are these just changing episodes, says Lister Jericho? No, all Star Trek.
Yeah.
And
there wouldn't be 10.
Yeah.
Well, there might just be 10. That would be.
Yeah. And Donnie says, yes, the Voyager movie, Dark Frontier. I mean, yeah, you could call it that. See, I don't remember specifically a lot of Voyager as much as other Star Treks. This one I do like. I just need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it that often in its entirety. So this is the non-Alec Krieg Queen, right?
Yes.
This is the other actress.
Who actually does very well. Different, but very well.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there's definitely some tension whether 709 is going to return back to the collective or whatever, because and Scorpion is the one where she joined the Voyager, I think.
Yep.
And that was quite a bit earlier than this. So,
yeah,
like I said, I don't remember a lot specifically about this episode. You kind of talking through it there really kind of helped me refresh my memory.
I'm skimming now. Let me remind you, because this is the one where they heist a transwarp coil because they want to go transwarp, which is a whole massive part of the storyline. But you see the flashbacks to Annika's parents on the Raven, which gives them the technology to actually go into a Borg ship undetected, which is a whole like first 30 minutes. And you see them actually play that situation, fail miserably, don't fail, and then when they get there, she chooses to stay with the Borg for some reason. And we meet the Cube Queen, a lot of stuff with the Queen, and they have to go find her. We see her trying to assimilate some people, but not. She saves some people and get some wonderful interpolitics stuff, as well as meeting her assimilated dad from like 30 years ago. Yeah,
I don't remember her meeting her dad.
That might be a different one though.
Definitely revisit.
Because I mean, that might be a different one, but how many times does she go to her own Borg? You know, how many times does she go to Unimatrix 01? A couple of times, but it may or may not be that one. But I think she says welcome home, and she's like, oh my god, my dad's there. But yeah, it's just a really interesting, unusual story. And it's like it's that, you know, it's kind of like this Klingon stories where you see it almost all from inside a bird of prey. It's like that is super unique.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kind of have their all there. They have their cake and eat it too, which is pretty unusual. And they get like 10 to 20 years close to Earth because the transwarp like 50 years. It's really great. They basically skip Borg space by skiing a transwarp conduit, transwarp thingy.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of happens, but it's more just, you know, part of the journey. So yeah.
And it's the journey that matters. It's not the destination or something. That's a quote.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, good choice. Good way to kick things off. I know there are a lot of good Voyager 2-parters for sure, and maybe some of them are on my list. We'll have to see.
Or maybe not.
It'll be fun after we're done to go back and see how much from each series is on these lists. Because there's probably a good smattering here. But speaking of smattering, hit that like button, guys. We have 54 likes. 72 people here, so if you haven't hit it, please hit that like button, and don't forget to tell us what you think about our choices in the regular chat or super chat.
Yeah, Jericho says she stays with them because they would let Janeway escape. Yes,
her dad is in it. It's very quick and underwhelming, though.
I think it's a pretty good payoff. It's not. He should have been used more, but how do you use a drone that can't speak or think? There's not much you can do with that as a character without undermining the point of the drone. So. But yes.
I'm trying to think of a joke to insult somebody. I can't think of who to insult.
Little.
As far a drone, no, a drone that can't think or speak. JJ. Oh, Kurtzman. Hey, there you go. Kurtzman comes to mind. Oh, shit. Anyway. So we're going to move on to number 9 now?
Yes.
Because I don't have anything else to contribute to that one, because I don't remember a lot of the episodes specifically. So
tell us what's
that the first time we saw inside a Borg
no
diamond?
No, we'd see it briefly in her other ones, but this is the big one, yeah. And then obviously slightly later on, yeah. I think because the Unimatrix one as well is about goes in the Borg diamond. This is like they actually basically go assimilate a planet in a Borg diamond in this one. It's like, ooh, Borg diamond.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Don't remember that. So
yeah, there's a lot of like stuff in this one. They kind of go through a lot of things. Yeah. Your number 9, Stuart.
My number 9 is a Voyager episode, or two episodes, Future's End. This one I really like. This is where they go back to 1996, and Henry Starling has the advanced future tech, and the Doctor gets his mobile emitter, and you get Sarah Silverman's in it. You get the little Botany Bay reference with the little model in the background. So there's lots of really good stuff here, and like I said, it continues the Doctor's development because he gets the mobile emitter in the past, ironically enough. And it's just fun. I love time travel episodes. This one, I'm going back to 1996, kind of messes a little bit around with the whole eugenics wars, but at the same time, you've also got the Botany Bay reference model as well. So it's like they knew what they were doing, kind of. So yeah, this one is just a fun one. Time travel is always good. You get to see Captain Braxton, but not Captain Braxton. It's not the same actor as later.
Yes, which I thought was always sad because he was good in the other one.
Yeah. And the time ship. So yeah, this is just a fun little episode, and I love time travel stuff. So
yeah, this
episodes.
Sorry. Time travel story. Yeah, this one is a really odd one because it takes the back to Earth in the past concept, but it's not the past; it's sort of the present when it's set. So it's kind of Star Trek 4, and but it's still very rooted in having the future tech. So it's kind of it's trying to have its cake. It doesn't quite manage everything, but I don't know how it could. Like, it does so many different things. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to have that much setup, that much payoff, and that much happening. Like, even, like, I don't know why Chakotay and B'Elanna were like, kidnapped by hillbillies.
Rednecks.
It's like, why is, you know what I mean? There's weird choices in this episode, for sure.
Yes.
But the concept, just the very starting scene is very, very clever. Oh no, we're going to kill you from the timeline, even though we are Future Federation, so this is all legal. Wait, what? Because you destroyed Earth of the future. It's like, what? But it's so Voyager.
But I love ChronoWorks. I love the kind of the parallels with Steve Jobs and Apple, and just the development of our tech based on future tech is really cool, and it's even more advanced tech than what Voyager has.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice payoff. And the doctor's like, "You can't hurt me," whatever. He's like, "Oh, really?" And he makes the doctor feel pain, and yeah, it's there's some really good payoffs in this one, and some good acting. Plus, I really like Henry Sterling's desk. He's got a train on it. I like the train. For the record.
Well, we all heard Silver, by the way.
It's the simple things.
It is for simple people.
Yes.
You make trains go. But and in fact, that actor, very famous character actor, does a lot of things. He does good. Like, he feels a bit like that guy. Like, he's not, you know what I mean? But he is good for sure. Silverman being in it is still weird, and I think wasn't as weird at the time. It's even more weird now, knowing she's a world famous comedian, and then she's also this girl. It's like, the hell are you doing here? It's like it's kind of like The Rock if The Rock had a bigger part in the episode. It's like, the hell are you doing here? This is weird, but it's good in a good way. And there's also one bit I liked about this one specifically. Although the flying, like, they did fly on Earth. It's some nice CG, and just they needed a bit more money and a bit more time. So all this episode needed was this story. It was pushing a lot, and didn't quite manage what they could have. But real world locations, ironically, sap you of time because you have to be limited filming time. You have to have permits. You have to move around things. You have to eat. Whereas standing sets, well, the ship is always day or night.
Yeah.
It just is. It's a weird one, and obviously mobile emitter. It feels like they've been building up to that, but it is also out of the blue. But it feels like, of course they're going to find 20th century that will give them mobile emitter. Of course they would.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's such a small part, but that is the biggest thing to come out of this episode. It really is. The mobile emitter. Boom.
Yeah. And having Sarah Silverman in it was great. She actually is a Trekkie, and she requested to be in. Well, she wanted to be in something, so they put her in this, and it was great. Her dynamic with Tom Paris is so well done. It's like I wish they would have added her to the crew. Like, take her back with you. That would have been kind of neat.
Stuart, if they couldn't do it for Star Trek 4, they can't do it for this.
I know.
My number 9. But super chat your thoughts, guys. My number 9 is Homefront and the other one. Stormfront and Homefront, I believe. Is that what they're called? I think they are. No, Homefront and Paradise Lost. So this is the big... now this one is a weird two-parter. It's not part 1, part 2. But this one is an Earth-centric two-parter in DS9, where it's all about the horror of the what's it called? The what's the word?
Conspiracy?
Yeah, there we go. Changelings would, should be everywhere. It's somewhat un-Star Trek in its concept, but it's a sidestep that is so refreshing in its own way. You never see the world like you never see restaurants on Earth and people beaming into the streets, etc. You never see Starfleet commanders. You never see, the fact that Sisko goes back to his old TNG uniform, having just left from, is jarring. You forget that until he's back on Earth. It's like, oh yeah, why is he's got back uniform? That's weird. But it's well acted. It drags a bit. I really think it does, but again, lack of money. They were trying for a world conspiracy with world events. Red Squad destroys a power thing, which causes a thing, in dialogue. It's nowhere as near as epic as it should have been, which does limit it a lot. But the dad does a great performance. He really sells it. Jake sells it. Gets a lot of nods in it. Back after a couple of episodes, being in the academy. It's very, very different. That's why I like it. It stands out. It does have lots of flaws, but it stands out for other things.
Yeah. This one wasn't even on my list because
good. They can talk about it.
This was part 1 and part 2. But yeah,
well,
as you say,
very specific in the part 1, part 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
In sort of structure.
No, this was a good one. This is another like Cold War conspiracy one, like a spy around every corner. You don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
And it definitely ramped things up. Is this the one with the Lakuta?
Yes,
Lakota versus the Defiant.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you got other
Leah
stuff
Brahms,
going on as well.
Captain Leah Brahms. Commander, not Leah Brahms.
Yeah. No, this is a good one. And just not knowing who's who and what. Like, honestly, the thought of changelings infiltrating the Federation and having hundreds of them is terrifying. What, there was like a 9
6.
or something?
I think they say that we've got 6.
Yeah.
So he talks to a guy on a water. Well, he talks to O'Brien on a water monument, on like a fountain. He's like, we've really got 6 on Earth, and that wasn't us. It's like, what? It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So yeah, and seeing Earth, I think we see the botanical gardens in this one as well.
We see a lot of it. It's great. Yeah.
And so it was good seeing Earth and how things are going there. And I love that. You're right. The dad not willing to give up his blood sample because it's like stubborn old men. Just do it if you have nothing to hide. But whatever. It ramped up that conspiracy. Like, is he one of them? Like, what's going on?
Which I have watched his relatively recently on Research for Dominion War, and they do play that card very well in the episode.
They do.
And there's this lovely moment where he's forced to get the test, and you can see Sisko, and then Sisko is like waiting for it is, and then after he gets it says, I'm not. He's relieved, but also disappointed himself for making his dad do that. His dad is really disappointed for making him do that, and everyone feels awful because they shouldn't have had to do this.
Just do it. It's part of the procedure. Just get it done.
But rights and all that.
Oh fuck! Yeah, that bothers me so much when that comes up.
But that's But that's the point of the episode that
I know it is.
The Admiral goes into, well, we are stuff. We control the entire Earth. They're forcing everybody to do things. They haven't got a choice. You can't do that. They go military state. The point is they weren't allowed to, and they did it anyway. They're in the wrong but obviously it's the worst case scenario. But that's why they pushed Earth to the brink, even though there was literally no threat from the Dominion actively in the story, which is great. That's a lovely payoff. Yeah, it's good. It's not fun to watch, but it's good to watch.
Yeah. It's good psychological warfare on the part of the changelings for sure, because they knew that this would happen.
And this is early. This is the lead up to the Dominion War. There ain't no war yet. That's one of the big things. So yeah, there you go.
All right. Definitely one that was not on my list. I didn't even consider it. So it probably would have been though if I had it.
Well, now we have more to talk about.
This is true. These lists are going to be completely different. I think the top 3 might have some similarities, but we'll see.
That's the nice thing. I think that we have a different enjoyment factor, and that's actually really good about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 8.
Yes.
Is the first cliffhanger in Star Trek history, the best of both worlds. Again, seeing more of the Starfleet dynamic, having Shelby come aboard, the Admiral's trying to figure out a way to deal with this situation, just the imminent threat of the Borg, the buildup of Riker being in command of the Enterprise, and just that Mr. Worf, fire. and that dun 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 dun, which really pissed a lot of people off at the time. It's like we don't need a cliffhanger to come back to watch Star Trek next season. Um, so I remember the outrage with that because you had to wait the whole summer to find out what happened. We kind of thought that part two would be like let the whole thing down as a whole. Part two wasn't as bad as I remembered when we reviewed it again. But that whole fire, like nothing, it's so anticlimactic going into the next episode. That was such a buildup, and it's just kind of a letdown at the same time. But overall, seeing more of the Starfleet idea, plus Battle of Wolf 359, all those ships getting destroyed. This is like a definitely turning point for the Federation and for Star Trek as a whole. To have Picard maybe not coming back the next season and being turned into a Borg was kind of a terrifying prospect, and then very easily fixed. Again, the second episode kind of lets it down in quite a few ways. It's kind of a quick, well, not quick, but a easy out for a lot of things. But it honestly set the stage for the season finale cliffhangers, and they use those quite a bit. So this was the first one. This was one of the most memorable ones. A lot of people have already said Best of Both Worlds a few times in the chat. I think it's the one that when you ask people to remember a Star Trek two-parter, it's one of the first ones they'll remember. Because a lot of the Voyager ones and stuff, the mid-season ones, you might not remember our two-parters, like Equinox or Year of Hell. You don't necessarily remember them as two-parters. So this is the one that everybody remembers. So this is why it's number 8 on my list.
You'll be surprised to hear it's nowhere on my list. You'll be surprised to hear. Part of this list, and you got to consider in my brain, is that a two-parter needs to be like this is a top 10 two-parter, right? Mm-hmm. So one part can't be a 10, and the other part can be a 4 or a 1, right? So there are two-parters where one is on balance better, but if there are two-parters where they're both like a solid 8 or a solid 7 or a solid 9, then so for this one, certainly the second part is far worse than the first part in every discernible measure. And if the second part had been as good as the first part, it would be an all-time classic. But it drops the ball so massively that it's just like, well, it's one good part and one not good part. So it can't be it's not a good two-parter, it's a good half-parter. So that's just, and that's what the problem is with a brilliant setup. As we've said, the payoff is so weak that it doesn't matter how good the setup was. Whereas at least Farpoint is a weak setup and the payoff's equally weak. But it's fine, because it's all equally.
But going back and reviewing it, the second part wasn't as bad as I remembered. So it lets it down in a few spots, but I think overall as one cohesive piece, it's pretty good. It does have the Matrix syndrome, though, where the first one was so good, and then they didn't have the second part written when they started, which is a big mistake whenever you're doing something like this. So they kind of painted themselves into a corner, or wrote themselves into a corner, and they get themselves out of it. So, and
as we worked out last time, the first episode was better than I thought. The second episode was way worse than I remembered. So, but obviously you had a lower expectation, I had a higher expectation. But I would, but yeah, good stuff. But I'm glad it's only 8 though, because there's so many better two-parters. So I'm very glad it's only 8. Good. I was thinking of being in your top 4. I was like, okay, fine. So thank you, Stuart. My number 8. I've never forgot the list. I don't remember what I'm going to pick. So let's see what I picked. Past me says, yes, The Search. The DS9 Search Part 1 and 2. Boy, hard to find a picture to summarise this one because it's a very confusing two-parter. Welcome, the Defiant. Welcome, the Dominion. Welcome, the Vorters. Welcome, the Cloaking Device. And now, this is a weird one because it is very much a part. It's kind of like Best of Both Worlds. Part 1 is so distinct. Part 2 is something very different. The twist is, spoilers, that Part 2 never happened.
Yes.
Which is a fucking fantastic twist, and it still gets me to this day because they commit so fervently on the bit. Like, you do forget.
Yep.
And that payoff is so good. It really elevates it. But the fact that the Defiant is very well committed to, The battle is very good at the end of part 1 for the time. Like, it's still miniatures rather than CG. It gives you this massive vibe. It sets up the Dominion beautifully. You never tend to go right to the villain's nest the first time you meet them, and they literally take to their homeworld where you meet all of them, and and the reveal of Odo's race being the changelings. Like, it starts everything, and it is a very interesting two-parter. They committed fully. They just literally have a now is all a dream moment, and it's weird, but it's great.
It is weird. I don't necessarily buy the end, like buy how the ending plays out. Like, why would they let them go?
Because Odo asked. That's the whole point.
I know, but it comes off as a little bit flimsy for me. But I get it. Well, it is a good one, but the whole it was a dream thing. I mean, this is how it's done perfectly. By the way, a lot of times it was just a dream as kind of a cop out.
Yeah.
This is really well done.
Well, because there's meta logic. They explain it's not a dream. It's a computer testing simulation to see how they'd react to us. So they learn they learn there's no point negotiating with us because we will resist. So it's a very real situation, even though it isn't. And it tells it skips basically a season of content. We may have tried to have a season of negotiation.
Yeah.
There's no point. So it's so weird, but it's seeing how Cisco like reacts to. I think Nechayev's in it. I think that's the admiral they bring back, which is really cool. Like fighting with Starfleet, which doesn't understand, but there is still some logic behind. Like it's not too far from, because this is a very very powerful alien species that has this massive thing of space, and we need to do a pact with them. But it just tells you everything you need to know about them. The first time we see them, they take all of our heroes hostage, disable our ship. Force them to live a fake reality and only let us go because one of them says, please, this is the last favor I can ever ask, here it is. That tells you a lot about them. So it's weird, but it's still strong. And again, conceptually, it's so unlike everything else.
Brilliant.
Not what I thought I was going to pick, but I couldn't not put. I was like, ooh. I was like, no, there's too many. And the Defiant. Excellent setup for the Defiant. Beautiful bridge, beautiful.
Yeah, it gets its ass handed to it, though.
It does. It fails miserably.
Or does it?
Style. No, it does. It does.
Okay.
It does. That's the real bit.
Yeah. No, that's great. Again, I agree with you. It is not on my list, so I love that we have such a very things to talk about. I'm kind of second guessing one of mine now.
Farpoint?
No. Farpoint's on there for a very specific reason.
Yep.
Actually, the one I'm kind of doubting is as well, but we'll get there when we get there. I'll let you know.
Yep.
And let's see. We are 40 minutes in with 66 likes and 88 people. We can easily hit 75 likes, guys. Hit that like button. Super chat's kind of just burned out after like 3. If you guys have anything you need to say or comment on our picks so far, by all means let us know. But hopefully you guys are having a good time. We definitely are. And yeah, we're moving into number 7 now. So we're not near the end yet.
And if we get at least 70 more bucks, that'd be good. I'd just do that as a direct tie-in.
At least, yes.
Yeah.
All right. My number 7 is The Way of the Warrior.
Kaplat, you and your house. Wait.
Yes.
Almost.
Who better to deal with Klingons than a Klingon? The only Klingon in Starfleet, as a matter of fact. Bring in Worf. You have the epic showdown at the end. The Klingons versus the DS9 station, the newly upgraded DS9 station. A fantastic battle scene. Get some Klingons getting blown up real good. And Worf thinking about retiring, but at the end he changes his mind and accepts the strategic. What was his position? Strategic something of DS9.
Torpedo officer.
No. Strategic operations officer of DS9, and he steps out with the red. Because we've seen him in gold for so long. Steps out in the red at the end. It's such a great moment. And Klingons to the nines. Gowron being crazy. There's lots of good Klingon action if you're into that kind of thing. And like I said, seeing that station just do its thing and destroy Klingon ships left, right, and center was fantastic. So.
And just briefly, the Junkman says, does Farpoint count as 2 parts? It's just a 2-hour show, like all good things, right? There is 2 hours, not 2 parts, or you guys count them as 2 parts. Well, they're called Part 1 and Part 2. They're made in 2 episodes with 2 credits, I think.
Yeah.
And also, they did air as 1 part and another part at some point on different networks than they did on ours. So just because now you watch them as 2 parts doesn't mean they're not 2 parts of television. They're written as 2. They weren't written as 1.
Some places, they aired as one long one. Other places they aired as 2 separate ones. So it's definitely Part 1 and Part 2. So
they're called Part 1, Part 2. They're built Part 1, Part 2. So they're Part 1, Part 2.
Yes.
There's no episodes of Trek that are 1 hour and 30. Otherwise, they'd just be 1 episode of hour and 30 without Part 1, Part 2.
Yes.
Because otherwise, they're not Part 1, Part 2. There.
Or
That's what you got Star Trek First Contact for, or Insurrection, as you would joke. And in fact, just briefly, link on this. This is fun because the reason he's here and feels depressed is because Enterprise D just blew up in Generations. Yes. Like he's now feels. So instantly it ties you in and kind of takes you to the full circle of here we're taking D into DS9. Oh, it got destroyed. Here's Worf instead. Commiseration prize.
Yes, and this is arguably one of the where DS9 gets really good.
Stuart,
sure, the lead up.
That's not arguably.
Well, the lead up to this was pretty good. For the at least 5 or 6 episodes leading up to this one, but this is where once this one hits, everything after it is just amazing. So, well, not everything, but almost everything. So this is definitely a turning point for DS9, and to have Michael Dorn back as Worf, and really embracing the role, So that was great.
Yeah, I mean,
it is number 7. It is, some people might rank it higher, but it's number 7 here. So
I was about to say it has some pacing issues. It's not that it has pacing issues so much as it's a let's take our damn sweet time. We know what we are. This is not an action movie. This is a 2-hour, hour and a half political, grander scale, end of the Cardassian Klingon, or start of the Cardassian Klingon. Like, it's political until the all money spent, epic balls to the wall action, big murder fest where we kill 5,000 Klingons. Like, it's not an action film. It's very oddly paced, but, well, it really is, it's horrible. But it's incredibly, it feels like a middle chapter of a trilogy of films.
Yeah.
Which it isn't.
Like The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes. No, very much so. Like, it doesn't start or stop anything, but it kind of has an epicness of scope. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's weird. In a good way. Like, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Accept it, bitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we hit 75 likes, guys, but we have now 98 people here, so that's more people. So let's hit that like button if you haven't already.
Yeah.
We can hit 100 likes, guys.
I'd like to think so. And yeah, 71 bucks if we can, guys. Odd today for sure. My number 1, 2, 3, 4, 7? 7. 7?
7. Yes.
7.
Yes.
What is it? Let's find out. Ah, yes, Scorpion. The Borg Killer. How do you ever go anything bigger than the Borg? Well, they found a way, and it makes a lot of sense. Underused enough to still be impressive. Go small rather than go giant. That's impressive, as a la ships. Excellent CG. Still holds up beautifully. The animation on the 8472 monster is still fantastic. Introduction of 7, and knowing you're going to make her the sex symbol, starting with a decrepit Frankenstein monster, that shows she's not just a sex symbol, she's a character first, which she always was. A character first, just happens to be sexy as well, but she starts a character first. Great acting all round. The Harry thing, gruesome. Puts him out of the commission for a bit, but it's okay. Kess, suddenly, whole different vibe, whole different whatever she's gone. She's good in it, but kind of whatever she's gone doesn't really, Chakotay gets to be impressive, Picard fought the Borg and got taken by the Borg. Janeway makes pacts with the Borg. That's how cool she is. And it kind of works. Like, nothing is too far logically out of the bounds. They kind of justify everything, at least as the evolution of the Borg go. Obviously, if this had been the original Borg, no, but they've evolved for a reason. Same with Picard. If he'd fought, it works fine in the context. And we get this post-First Contact sets, costumes, makeup, all the improvements that come along with that. The budget feels really good. We get to see Voyager fight with the Borg, which is phenomenal. Great CG with all that stuff. Just again, really interesting political stuff, galactic political stuff. And as there's a great episode later that deals with, you fought the 8472, which you would think was a good thing because they were stronger than the Borg and they killed some people. But those are ones that were stopping the Borg from being a bigger threat. As soon as the Borg are no longer hampered by this other threat, they have this big scourge across the galaxy. Like, some people were rooting for 8472 because the Borg are a worse threat. And so the Borg, like, it's played very well, and it comes across later very well in the canon of Voyager. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, I just love it's the Borg being too big for their britches, trying to infiltrate fluidic space, and the Undine or species 8472 as having none of it. So we get an introduction of fluidic space. The 8472 look fantastic, like you said, and very alien. Like, that's what we need, more aliens in Star Trek. They definitely pulled that off. And yeah, to welcome in a member of the Borg to your crew. I remember at the time thinking, this isn't going to go well. This is not going to be a regular character. She's going to end up being around for 6 episodes and like betray them, and there was that worry as well, because the Borg, you don't want anything Borg on your ship. You know what I mean? Like, because that's not good. So yeah, this one was and so aptly named as well, for the scorpion being carried across the river and stinging the fox or whatever. I don't know what else to say.
Well, it's also a great one for Chakotay, because he actually gets to be captain for an episode as Janeway gets taken out, which puts him in a very interesting... And it gives the guy one of his best performances, because he has to fight against his captain's wishes, which he just wholeheartedly believes are wrong, but has to balance that line, yet also with a Borg that's taken over a part of his ship, which in First Contact is the end-all be-all. Here it's presented as it needs to be. And it's a very interesting balance. And again, this is heavily ambitious. This feels like a movie, but with like too little money, but it manages a lot for the budget. They really scrimped and saved to make this one feel big, and for the time, I would love to have seen this at the time. It must have blown people away for scale, scope, budget, vibe, like full on. Really impressive for the time.
And introducing fluidic space, like, that's a whole other thing to explore if they wanted to. They never really went there. But it was something that definitely opened up the universe, as it were. So, yeah. All right, so 82 likes, guys. 105 people here now, so the numbers keep going up, which is great. 18 more likes. If you haven't hit that like button. And yeah, another like $70 in super chats would be great. So we are where we are going to be going into number 6, just before the halfway mark of our live. So it's actually perfect. So. Ready for my number 6?
I am.
My number 6 is the Equinox. Really loved this episode. I remember seeing the preview for it with the things, and wondering if Janeway was going to die with the way they had the promo clip cut for it, and that Ransom might take over you weren't sure if they were going to mix up the crews or whatever, but to see another Federation ship in the Delta Quadrant was fantastic. And not a big ship, a small little scout ship, like the one that replaced the Oberth. So it's a small little science ship, doesn't have a holodeck. They got these little things that they, that's how they spend their time.
Well, that was an alien device they never had that. That was they bartered for that.
Yeah, but they don't have a holodeck to have a direct time. So
that crew did,
that's how they do it. And it's very minimal crew. It brings into question a lot of the principles of the Prime Directive and what you need to do in certain situations. He was way worse off than Janeway was. So it's like, if you put Janeway in that situation, would she have done the same thing? Don't know. So I love the moral dilemmas that are here. Ransom and his first officer are they're unlikable. But I mean, that's the point, right? Doing what they need to do, kill these alien species to get the fuel they need to get home. And it's never really clarified how many people the caretaker pulled into the Delta Quadrant. So you don't know if there's more. I found it a little weird that they didn't run into each other sooner than this, but overall, we got a new ship. We got the Nova class in this one, and there was just a lot of good here. And it was kind of a horror inspired episode with these things that just popped out of nowhere like ghosts, and then to find out that they're actually attacking because they were being killed by the Equinox crew, so they were just defending themselves. There's so many layers in this one that and you got to put yourself in the situation. Would you uphold the Federation ideals that far from the Federation, or get your surviving crew, home? So
Well,
I love this one.
I mean, just before, on that note, so say it was 15 years ago and all of your kids were in the house, right?
Yes.
And you had to either accept being all massacred or do one slightly illegal thing.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll just stay here and let all my family die. Bye-bye, Christian, you're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
put in that situation, no one can blame you. It's just wrong, but no one can blame you. Do you really want to see all your people who've been trusted just murder in front of you? No, this is one of the best of Voyager and probably one of the best of all Star Trek, at least for what it's trying to do. There are some flaws in the two-parter. The second part is they clearly had less money, but also it stopped being about Equinox and more, as in the shift, to more about Janeway's white whale of going after him, which took a lot of the screen time. Not a bad thing, but it sort of shifted the focus a lot.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing, but I wish it hadn't have had that much focus, I think. Personally. Or maybe it would have been much fun to actually have them escape and then meet them at the end of the season, or once or twice more. That may have been a lot stronger. Would have been less of a powerful payoff, but like seeing them 9 months down the line, what they've managed to achieve with like, a photonic cannon installed. It's like, oh my god, you're more powerful than us now.
Well, I really expected them to mix crews, like for Equinox to get destroyed and have them come over and actually have new crew members. Would have been kind of neat and would have, again, reestablished that Maquis Federation dynamic that we had to start with.
Ooh, that would have been good.
But now those crews are working together, but you got these new guys that have been kind of doing what they needed to do to get by.
I think only 8 survived, though, so 8 out of 140. The irony is that replaces the 8. I think they lost about 15 people by this point, so just replaced most of their crew. It wasn't any great, you know what I mean? Although, I wish we'd seen at least the lady again, the claustrophobic lady. It's like, why wouldn't use them again? Although I know in one of the last episodes, they do mention one of them by name, having done something. So they has a slight reference. But I mean, I know...
Not enough, though.
No. But I know a lot of people say this is what they should have been like, Voyager, having to deal with the harsh times. But as you said, if you're in a Galaxy class, you are a self-contained city. Intrepid is still a self-contained town. Like, it's meant to be long range, which means it's meant to last. And if you, as we know from Rick Sternbach and such, refueling isn't actually very difficult in the grand scheme. So you will have power, and it's just depending on if you fight or not. And they've got the most advanced weapons, shields, and whatever. I mean, Delta Quadrant have as much advanced tech. So Voyager being fine makes sense. And we both wish we'd seen like warp bees between episodes fixing hull damage once or twice, because they have plenty of time to fix stuff. This ship didn't. This is the absolute epitome of what they couldn't do, and it plays that what-if scenario when you just literally don't have enough, and it's horrible. And seeing like the Equinox bridge be that destroyed, and especially the intro when they get butchered and massacred is so visceral, and the CG is incredible. It still holds up beautifully today. It's really, really good. And the slow build into what is happening and the slow reveal. I don't think the evil Doctor works as well as they think it does, because he looks the same and he acts very similar. It's not quite as Jekyll and Hyde as I think they were trying to do.
I kind of disagree. Doesn't he have different contacts in as well?
No.
Or is that's another one where he
That's the actual evil Voyager one, where he has black contacts. Okay. Yeah. No, it's underwhelming, but he has to blend in, so what do you expect? Although it is fun to see our Doctor work on 7, but doesn't really pay off, so, they focus on odd things to give those guys stuff to do. And it does feel a bit easily done that they're dying for so many months. That they could survive that long while being attacked all the time. It's like, that surely that would take days to get defeated, not months. But also for them suddenly to have this shield grid thing, which makes them completely impervious all of a sudden. Like, it's a bit, you know what I mean? That's the narrative of only taking place over a couple of days, etc. But yeah, one of their best for sure. Yeah.
Anton Smith. I feel like a BLT. That's what I remember from this two-parter. Shannon Nash puts in $10. So thank you so much, Shannon. I think Equinox was what Ronald D. Moore wanted to do with Voyager. Also, I was so excited for this because I remember seeing a prototype drawing of the Nova class in the TNG technical manual.
Yeah, 100%.
And the Equinox is a nice looking ship. It is a nice next fleet evolution, like the Borg fleet, I guess you'd call it.
It flows well.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So there you go. Equinox, number 6. What about your number 6?
2, 3, 4, 5. My number 6 is Way of the Warrior. So 1 higher than yours. Yes, nice. It's very good for all the reasons you said. The epic battle still holds up today. It's a bit clunky, but the scope feels good, even though it's a bit clunky, and it still feels silly to have 3 photon torpedoes successfully destroyed a Katinga. It's like, if they're that weak, why bother having them in the battle? There's some visual gaffes of like, why? And in this shot, there's a phase beam that just destroys a bird of prey. It's like, I guess they're not a threat then. Like it's weird. It's weird, but you get to see the fleet like you've never seen before. Gowron and Martok together. It's actually a rarity when you break down how many appearances. They both work great. Well, it's not really Martok, but it is Martok, but it isn't. They didn't know that, so it's still Martok in acting, and he stands out so strongly, which is great in it. Less Martokian, but still a good. But still a darn good Klingon. And given sure Michael Dorn was like drooling over the script. Like, I had a few good episodes in TNG, but for the most part, it's classic stuff. And here, I'm giving more meat on this juicy steak than I'm given in lots of episodes of TNG. I mean, it all revolves around me, and I'm being given lots of stuff. So, and he delivers. He delivers on every level, which is fantastic. And seeing the chemistry of then Jadzia and him and all the other people, the fact that O'Brien and him have a connection, which you don't even think about until like halfway through, like, oh my god, they did serve together, because they never had screen time together. It's a big ship. But it's like, oh yeah, this is a TNG crossover again. And it is sad to see the changelings influence. It's a build-up. It's a very good build-up, because although it is underplayed, I think, in like, you don't think of this one being because the changelings in like basically get Gowron to attack Cardassia equals this story. It's a Dominion War story, but pre-Dominion War. But that gets lost in the shuffle of just Klingons fighting. But that's not the point of it. But it's not as impactful for the thing it should be impactful for. But gentle build. But still very memorable, and it's their best 2-parter. And let's see if I've kept that up in my list. I forgot. Let's see if. But this is the one that stands out to me in their season as the best 2-parter. Because they have like 9 parters at the end, so they don't ever have any 2-parters really again after a certain point. They're all 9 or 10 parters.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. I was looking through DS9 and I'm like, oh man.
It isn't. Not a lot of choice.
No, I just love the on-screen battle for this one. Yeah, there are some problems with some of the ship destructions, but you needed some explosions. You needed some kind of hope for the DS9 station.
I like Dave L say moves for the final 3, but it's not played that way. It's played very much like first barrage, things go boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have this be the culmination of all the stuff that we've seen with the Klingons up to this point, with Gowron getting installed into power and kind of becoming a little bit unhonorable, a little bit unstable. It's a nice build up to that, or and just how much of a thin line there is for the Klingon Federation alliance. Again, that's explored a few times, but I love that that's always a thing. And here it was to the point where it's like, we're gonna blow up some Klingon ships now. So, and
given their allies every other season of every other show, they kill so many people. It's really like yes, they're stunning them on the when they beam in, but they're massacring Klingons left, right, and center. For like a 4-week war. It's not that short, but for relatively small, I think it's a year. But And someone said something. Oh yeah, Alan passes. Are they CG or miniatures in Way of the Warrior? I can never quite be sure, no matter how many times I watch it. No, none of them are CGI. 100% miniature work, because they didn't have CGI yet in a practical use. They did, however, buy Hallmark ornaments for Birds of Prey, and so they
I've got one.
I think I No, I don't. And so they are flying smallest possible versions to get the most easy moves to get the most moves. And so they made other versions and such. That's why the Negva and Vorcha don't do anything, but everything else does a lot of stuff. So they made the most of what they had, and you can't tell really. Let's be honest, you can't tell. They just go kablooey. And also the beams are CG, but no, it's all practical miniatures. That's why it's a bit janky. But that's why some of the moves, there's one very long take, which is around the station, and you're like, oh, wow, that's a motion control? Shit. That's impressive. There's a couple of very good. Although, obviously, doing CG would be much easier now and look much better, as in just contextually. But, yes.
Good old gamer says, I don't mind that station weapons are more powerful than ship weapons. I don't either, but still, the photon torpedoes would be the same yield. The phasers, I have no problem with. It's like in Starfleet battles and Starfleet Command, you get close to a starbase, they nail you with a couple phasers, you're done. Because like type 10 phasers or type 12 phasers, whatever they are, it's like,
phasers I absolutely agree with, but the Klingons would also have equally powerful torpedoes, especially on the bigger ships. There's only a finite amount of full yield. And if it only takes 3 torpedoes, then they should equally only take 3 torpedoes to take out you. You know, if every ship just fires 3 torpedoes, you've also... why is DS9 able to cope with so much damage? That's why, if they just fired like 30 torpedoes on one spot, fine. Or like a phaser, a shield bubble goes off, then torpedoes. Because 3 torpedoes hitting the pure hull would be catastrophic at full power, sure. But I mean, if you look at DS9, they never have shield bubbles because it's just too much to do. Ever.
Yeah.
Which everyone ignores, but no one ever has shields. Ever. In big battles. But yeah,
Matt,
very good.
Matt Boardman, though, $10. Thank you very much, Matt. I got a chance to stand on the soundstage at Image G where they filmed the miniatures for the scene with one of the guys who worked on it, with visual effects supervisor Gary Hutzel.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
Yes. The man, the
cool,
legend.
Matt. Yeah.
And obviously we got to see the Foden torpedo turret, and you got to move it for the first time in decades. And, and I got to CG it, so we both got to do a first. And even asking to see it was quite a nerve-wracking thing for us. Like, should we ask? Yeah, might as well ask. It's like, oh, it's there. Can we touch it? We can. Oh, can we? It's great. It's good stuff, Stuart. No. It's good stuff.
It's definitely memorable stuff for sure. So, and it's preserved for all posterity.
Yes, and it's also because this was never done this big before. It's like Voyager has incredibly beautiful looking CG a lot of the time because they kept pushing that. DS9 has incredibly big CG and effects that they couldn't have for TNG. So they always escalates a bit. And then obviously newer shows, you don't ever get that vibe except in like creature animation work or like realistic environments, but not necessarily. Ooh, like, you know, you think about that castle on Gorath. Look, the Time Crystal Cave. You're not thinking, wow, that looks incredible. You're thinking, oh, it's a Klingon cave. Like, it's something about it's not capturing you like these things did, you know? About it. All right, now we're at the truest 5, the first half of the list. These are the creme de la creme, but those that just missed out on top 3, Stuart. Am I right? Are we on top 5? What is your top 5, sir?
Number 5 is one I'm thinking like should have maybe reevaluated, but it should be on this list in my opinion. And number 5 for me is Unification. It was the bringing together of TOS and TNG.
I'm just about to review this, Stuart, so I can told you so or not when we get there. Like, we'll see how good actually hits in about a week.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, bringing TOS together with TNG, having Spock show up was such a rush, and he's not like he's in the first episode for like Mark Hamill amount of time, even actually a little bit more, but still. It was great to see the tie between the Vulcans and the Romulans explained a little bit better. We saw a little bit of that in Balance of Terror, heard a little bit about it. Here it's explored a little bit better. Senator Pardek is actually the guy that played Colonel Ramirez, or not Ramirez, whatever, from the Menagerie, which I didn't know, which is great. But to see these guys come together, the second episode's a lot better than the first one, I think. I love Data and Picard heading to Romulus, and Data's just staring at Picard sleep. And anyway, seeing them both as Romulans as well. But then you had Sarek back as well. We had a mind meld. You know, Spock got to mind meld kind of with his dad through Picard, which was a nice little touch. Sela's in it, although kind of underwhelming, honestly, if I recall correctly. But nice little holographic duck blind thing they do at the end where they, you know, so that was a nice use of technology. But yeah, just to bring TOS and TNG together, this was something that was like, oh wow, they're going to do this. Is we're going to see Kirk next? What are we going to see? I mean, we did see McCoy and Encounter at Farpoint, and later we see. This was such. I was so hyped for this when I saw that Spock was coming back. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, how old would Spock be? Oh, I guess that makes sense. Vulcans live longer. Like, it was just so fun to have this one. So. And yeah, I don't know if it deserves number 5 slot really, but just for the excitement and the fact that you're bringing the 2 generations together like that, I thought it was good. And then it goes on to pay off later for Discovery if you want to go there. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5, middle of the road.
I mean, I would not equate this as good as Equinox, which was the one just before this.
I know. That's why I was thinking of changing it around a bit, but it's already set here. So,
but as you say, you know, you're seeing it with the tinted goggles of the past. I'm not, so I'm slightly more objectively, and obviously I come from more of a film perspective, so I'm allowed to kind of say why and whatever. And I'm excited to rewatch these. I have certain memories and certain things I remember not liking. We will see. You know, I'm very fair when we get into it, so I'm really intrigued to see. But I just remember this one being, I wish they did a lot more. It's not the story any of us would have written if we had a choice. Relics is what we would have written, and it works better.
Yes.
One part of Relics works better than 2 parts of this. Now, there's some great moments of Data and Picard, but those are the great moments. Like, that's what I remember. Like, I don't give a shit about his unification mission. Do something more interesting.
Or tell the Federation you're doing it. I don't know why you had to go rogue to do this.
Yeah, it's a dumb premise from the start. Something that could have been done way better, cleverer, smarter. You know, stronger, faster, smarter. But he's old. He's getting senile. I mean, that's part of the gimmick, isn't he? He's actually old, even though he looks the same.
Yeah, they're not sure if he's gone off his rocker. That's what the whole mission's about. Like, what's he doing?
Although he looks the same as Star Trek 6. That's weird. As they filmed at the same time, even though they're 100 years different. That's weird. Boy, he ages a lot between. He doesn't age between 6 and this, and ages a lot between this and Nemesis time or JJ. So.
Look at Patrick Stewart. The same thing can be said about him.
Those last 60 years of Vulcan's life that really get to you, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I haven't watched it in probably a decade and a half. I've seen a few scenes, so I'm not gonna, we'll re-review it next week. But okay, I'm glad our lists are so different. Wouldn't be on mine, but maybe it will be after next week or the week after. Cool. So my middle of the road is. Are you ready?
I am ready.
The hell did I pick? Endgame. Voyager Endgame. This is the Star Trek movie Voyager. The Voyager movie. It is, in its own way, as good as all good things. In its own way. But that's because it has less interesting characters and more interesting visuals than TNG. And that's what this one has. Less interesting characters, more interesting visuals. It's also got a lot more advanced technology. The 2 Janeways is flawless. You don't think for a second, but it's all digital effects. It's flawless. Even now, I couldn't complain for a second. The Borg, where they use them, is excellent. Alice Krieg's excellent. We always love time travel, and it's a very good use of time travel. It does feel like a movie, although the first third is slow, but you need it to build up Admiral Janeway, otherwise what's the point? So it works, but once you show Admiral Janeway's stuff, the past stuff feels less meaningful. The stuff with Seven and Chakotay, because we know this stuff has already happened. Yeah. That's how my brain takes it. Until they meet up and now start changing things, I don't value the stuff earlier anywhere as much as I should do. And that's a weird disconnect that it's giving me. Then once it gets full cylinders, it goes full cylinders, and it's a very strong episode. And the spoilers, the end. I mean, the ending, all the Janeway stuff, very strong. The ambiguity of the end for the Borg is good. It's blowy uppy, but it's still ambiguous. And of course, the fact they get home is the thing you need. It's, for me, it's more satisfying than DS9's 9 endings. Yes, they defeat the Dominion, but Like, it's not a very satisfying ending, you know, for me. It's very grey. You know, lots of stuff happens, all the characters do some stuff. Okay, cool, great, awesome. This is like, and we did it. Like all good things. It has a, like, strong end.
Good strong end game, would you say?
100%, yeah, 100%. Like, Enterprise, obviously a very, very weak end. TOS, no end at all. And there are no more shows. This is, you know, the other strong end, but, you know, just, yeah, fundamentally phenomenal for me. And CG was phenomenal at the time. It holds up great today. And, like, that last shot, seeing all the CG ships they made for the show, Prometheus and Galaxy all coming together for Shipboys, is like, yes, there they are. All those polys. But yeah, Endgame, just a great ride. And I don't get why some people don't like it, but they might just not like Voyager. I think it's a standout for sure. Am I number 4 or 5? Am I on 5? I'm on 5.
That's number 5.
Only middle of the road, Stuart. God damn, what beats it? Because I was quite pleasant there. And it almost was high though. But
well, ironically enough, my number 4 is Endgame.
Hey! So, Stuart, why is that? Okay, few. I'm glad.
All the reasons you said, and a few more. Again, the time travel stuff is great.
Yeah.
The whole dilemma again that they make you think about is everybody's life and existence that led up to this. We're sacrificing by one person because she made some mistakes along the way. It makes you question how good of a person Janeway is, because she fundamentally changes the entire universe.
And the time cops let her.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But anyway, no, it's a very satisfying conclusion to the journey. Although I wish there would have been more after they got back, like debriefings and stuff. I would have liked to see more of that.
We saw that at the start.
I mean, kind of.
We get a sense of what they were gonna do, and that's the point, isn't it? It's still ambiguous. Let them write a future Voyager movie, but we still know. Okay, they would get married. They would have kids. You know, it's a very clever way of actually having an ending. Start with the epilogue, and then.
You got to admit, the scenes of it flying over San Francisco Bay with the fireworks going off, that's great. Like,
to start at the end is
so satisfying.
And Barclay's great in it. Reg,
yeah.
Surprising but nice. Like, oh, he's there. Hi, Reg.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a very satisfying conclusion to a good series, I think. So, and like you said, like a movie and one of the best endings to any Star Trek. So,
yep,
I definitely better than What You Left Behind, What We Leave Behind, or whatever it was, the last episode of DS9, which has like 15 endings.
Yeah, yeah, and also Good Old Game has a great comment there. I kind of love that they finally gave the Borg a virus. That's what Picard wanted to do with Hugh. It's true. Didn't have to ask permission either. No, it's just, and it's also a true finishing of what Voyager ended up being. You know, that exploration of the Delta Quadrant, all these like clever things. Like, it was a real payoff to what we've set up. And seeing like anti-Borg weapons and
Alice Krieg back as the Queen, like that was fantastic.
And seeing a Klingon scientist that makes an easy temporal device, and I just love that for 3 shots they committed to build a full Negvar 3D model, which is a big old ship to build. I've seen the model; it's pretty damn good considering. For 3 shots, just to have the epic moment of the Negvar, the powerful ship in DS9 that blew people away. Nah, 2 of them, a shell arm is fine. It's like. It's a shuttle! 2 Negvars! Nah, it's a shuttle. It's fine. A blade of armor, man. Yeah. Like, you can't get more of a symbolic, like, strong man. Like, the Deredex are going to get beaten. The Negvars are, like, the top dog of that. And that's a wonderful visual that it doesn't... It's so subtle in that it doesn't make any point of it, but visually, hopefully you understand, this thing is... This armor's the shit.
And Matt makes a good point. And also the Rhode Island with Harry as captain.
With the
get to bridge. See Captain Kim, finally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in Endgame.
They pulled out all the stops. It feels more money than they put in. Well done, them. I know a lot of it's because the VFX team did their absolute best. I mean, Rob wandered into the Rhode Island by himself for no money because he knew he wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
That tells you a lot, etc., etc.
Yes.
There's not that much wrong with it, really. I think, like I say, except for the Seven Chico stuff wasn't earned at all. Her being suddenly more human-y wasn't really earned. It wasn't led up to sort of random. I know time had passed a little bit, but that's every week. Yeah. And also, I didn't like seeing Tuvok be ill.
No, I didn't either. Yeah.
But it's
the point, though, because you're hopefully trying to prevent that. Yeah. So it gives justification to what Janeway's doing.
So it's there for a reason. And we talk about how saving. But they do also say though, it isn't just saving Seven's life. It's like 40 of her crew die. So it isn't just Seven. I mean, that's the emotional connection, but a good chunk of her crew dies in the meantime. Although I think so kids aren't then born. But Yeah. And we're never going to talk about transphasic torpedoes and Heblayev hull armor ever again.
Which is a shame.
Heblayev
hull armor is cool.
Very cool.
124 people here with 98 likes. We're so close to 100 likes, guys. And yeah, now that we're getting down to this is my number 4. We got to hear Samuel's number 4, so we're getting to the top 3. By all means, start letting us know what you think about our picks, what your picks are for the number 3 two-parters. I think you guys, I don't know, because I don't know what Samuel's going to have in his top 3. I think I might surprise him too. I don't know. This will be interesting. So let us know what you guys think. We get 100 likes. That's awesome, guys. Keep hitting that like button though if you haven't though. But anyway, yes, more super chats would be greatly appreciated.
At least another 50. But would be nice, guys. Would be nice. But it's just nice to hang out with you, of course.
What is your number 4? Ooh. Because I kind of sprung that one on you because it bled perfectly into yours. So
my number. No, you're right. It's 4. My number 4 is, let's see, Equinox.
Ah.
Now this one for me, Endgame is the movie. This is the character study that we never got to get for Voyager, which is because two parts shouldn't just be we can do it bigger, louder, stronger, pew pewier. This one is a real. It genuinely captures the dramatic tension. It genuinely captures the emotional connection. It genuinely shows us this dark crew in a you understand. You don't agree with them, but you understand them route, which is quite impressive considering they're killing aliens. But as he says, we killed one accidentally, and we're like, this must go real fast, real fast, and so it's a very simple, straightforward story. The fact the captain, odd actor. I'm not sure, he's giving an odd vibe, but of course he is. He's full of trauma, but full of lying, but you kind of buy his turn as well. He's got a hint of goodness in him. So it's a good cast, well done. It's fun seeing the destroyed Equinox bridge, like I said. The CG's great. The fact they randomly appear on a planet for a bit is odd because they don't often do that in Voyager. The Doctors, like I said, it doesn't quite work as well for me. Neither does their crappy engineering room, which is a redress of the science base. That's not your warp core. Come on. Even for a small ship, no, I don't buy that. But money limits, fine. The bridge is phenomenal. Although having had it built in 3D, Stuart, the bridge is absolutely magnificently massive. It's insanely big. It doesn't fit in the bridge dome, or it's the entire bridge segment. It's bigger than the Voyager bridge by a decent amount, but it's a short range scout explorer. Why the hell is the bridge massive? It's so big, Stuart. It literally is missing 4 bridge consoles on the front 2 sides. They're just empty walls. It's so big. Yeah, they're just padded walls. There's nothing there. They just removed the consoles from the other bridges this thing kit bashes from. It's but why is it so big? Why? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But the acting's on point. It's a weaker, it's 15 minutes of weak in it, but so much good. And like I say, it's that story we never got to get, and it's it's top tier Voyager for what it's trying to do. Just like Endgame is its thing, this is his thing. So succeeds almost in every way.
Perfect. I've already talked about it.
I know.
But it is great. And I actually seeing the aliens are so well done. Like I said, that the claustrophobic horror feel,
Oh.
like it's almost like a haunted house over on
Mhm.
like Equinox. You can understand their unease and their wanting to get home. So I love how they kind of film that and make you get that feeling like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be in this situation either. There's a lot of good cinematography, I think, in these episodes. So
It's also nice, you know, you get used to this at some point, but the fact that Ransom can say Janeway, yes, of course you can speak these big words when you have a clean deck with fresh shiny walls and no
yeah,
burned metal everywhere. When every deck is damaged, when half your ship is blown apart, when you have no food, no water, you try and be Starfleet, bitch. It's like you don't know. You've never been this bad. You've never been
yeah.
this bad. You cannot talk. You know, um, and it's like, yeah, she always had it good in comparison. Like she thinks she had it bad. They've dealt with shit. Never faced the Borg though, which is an odd like omission. They're like, yeah, we faced everything except the Borg. And Joey's like, oh, you faced lots of okay things and the Borg. It's like, you would think one's, but yeah, they get beaten up, and I wish, I know it feels a bit of a cop out, but I wish they'd had more random Starfleet ships. Like even maybe like a sovereign at one point, and like it's a totally abandoned, and like ooh, we get to walk around the E sets. Like I wish I had one
Yeah.
more, a bigger ship.
I actually wish that the Equinox would have stuck
I
around for like
know,
4, 5, or 6
like
episodes, like
Pegasus
to see
and
the
into
this,
BSG.
yeah, to see the two ships just like and
Yep,
like take on a few threats
that'd have
together,
been
and
phenomenal. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
But actually, I've just said that. I really wish I had done a sovereign. I bump into the USS Sovereign, it's damaged, and they have to walk around the E sets and kind of use those things, and it's like deserted. And like, well, why is this ship deserted? And like, the small ship couldn't cut it because they're shit. The big ship couldn't cut it; they're too big a threat. We're the perfect size of ship. Phew.
we're in the Goldilocks zone,
Yes, the Borg
just
don't throw
right.
anything else a threat. We ain't the Sovereign. That would be, and then they could have got
But it's equaled out by having Janeway. So
yeah, and then they could have got like 10 quantums, and then they go back to we've only got 12 quantums left. 5 episodes later, we've only got 12 quantums left. But Captain, you fired all 12. I said we only have 12 quantums left.
did I though?
Make
Tuba,
more.
go down and change the LEDs on the photons so they look like quantums. I want them to be blue when they fire. That's what matters.
That'll make them scared. Our fake quantums. Awesome. Love it. Right, Stuart, you're bronze. Goodness. Because so many good ones left to go as well.
There are a lot of good ones. My bronze, my third place is All Good Things. All Good
I was
Things.
going to make a must come to an end joke, but I couldn't think of one, so I stopped.
I was waiting. That's why I was like,
No, I just stopped. I couldn't think of one.
This is great because it goes back and revisits like different parts of the timeline, and to see like to have Tasha Yar come back for different scenes, and to have the captain. Could you just imagine watching from Counter at Farpoint and him being like, "Do this, do that, do this, do that." It's like, are you crazy? Like, what is that? So I really love the way this played out. It's so well written, and you get Beverly in command of a Olympic class ship. You get, you know, Geordi married to Alia. I'm not sure if it's Leah Brahms, but Alia. Data's doing his skunk hair thing. You know, you get to see the future of these people, and unfortunately, this is how Patrick Stewart should look in Picard. But anyway, regardless, and a really great concept, the anti-time thing. Q, of course, doing what Q does, and it just tying so much in with Encounter at Farpoint and being the full cover and back of a book done. It all tied together so beautifully. But it's only number 3, guys. A very Star Trek-y premise as well. You get the conflict between Worf and Riker over Deanna, which is great. You get the Galaxy X, which a lot of people like, and you think I would because I like 3 nacelle designs, but I'm not a fan of the Galaxy X. So there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and I love that. Yes, a 3 nacelle ship. Ha! So a lot of people are the line of sight. No, should be 3 nacelle ships. Well, they put one in the last. Yeah, I'm back now.
Oh, not quite. There you are.
Oh, yeah, now I am. There I am.
I mean, this is it's always ironically the hardest thing is to end a show satisfactorily, and this is a common.
Yes.
Either by the point you get to the end, you've kind of damaged your own brand and what you were trying to do, or you're so far away from it that you can't end can't end satisfactorily. Voyager managed a happy ending, excellent. It made sense. Star Trek is an episodic day on day episode, which means you can have a almost season one style classic end because it's a you don't have to evolve the characters 8 seasons now. They're not the same people, so you can't have anything reminiscent of where you started. But this one is good, and it's a very Star Trek premise. Obviously, I've never quite liked how all of our future versions end up, partially because they are throwaway versions, because they know they are not real future people. I mean, again, well, Geordi dies, and Data dies, and they're like, all these people don't end where they end. I guess Picard and Vineyard, but so it's still all a bit like it's kind of like the Visitor in DS9. It's like, well, it's not a real future, so it's not really valuable in the same way. Especially once you kind of realize that Q is sort of making it all exist in its own thing. So I kind of wish it was all a bit more grounded. Like, I know part of it is the journey to get them all together, but I kind of wish Dayton was still in Starfleet, a captain, and Geordi was, you know, like, if it was more classical. I like what they did as a fictional, fun, alternate universe, which is kind of what it is. But I don't like them. Like, I don't like Beverly being Picard's ex-wife. I hate that with a passion. Like, that's just sad to me. It's like, of those years, what's the point?
You know, ironically, Picard now, like Patrick Stewart, looks older than he does here. This is a better look for him. But Riker looks so much older in All Good Things than he actually does in real life now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny how it balances out. And Data still looks like Data, for Christ's sakes. Like, that's just awesome. So.
Yeah. So like I say, I really wish some of these character moments hadn't have happened. The Beverly thing as well. But the caveat though is that then Picard knows a possible future, and so he can make different choices. That's why we assumed he would be a better chosen husband of Beverly and end up happy and ABC whatever. Although I guess not. Like, that was another annoying thing in Picard, because it's like, well, what's the point? So it's as much a love letter to TNG as you can possibly get. It's infinitely better than Generations, and I almost wish this had been Generations. Like, imagine this, but with a movie budget. Whew. Even sexier. And they would have actually had, like, really future. They would have filmed it in segments and had a future Enterprise D bridge, or a new ship, like the Enterprise E. Like, boom, here's the E from the next movie. That would have been cool. The E shows up. It's like, oh yeah, this is our next movie ship. That'd be really cool, actually. And then but yeah, no, I mean it's iconic for a reason. Although, what's its problems? Like, where does it? There's only 3 obviously in your list, but where does it fall down then, in the grand scheme? Do you think? I guess I already said my reasons, but where for you does it fall down a little bit?
It doesn't. It's a perfect series ender.
But I mean, as an individual story, like in its own context of the series, fine. But I mean, as its own story,
it doesn't. It's almost perfect. However, as we do with our lists, there's enjoyment factor and rewatchability and stuff. I really love All Good Things, but it's still number 3. As for flaws, I mean, wasn't a fan of the Riker Worf conflict thing. The whole Worf with Deanna thing seemed really forced on at the end. I don't know, I'm trying to think. There's nothing else really that bugs me. I mean, I love that it's all a Q thing. I love that they treat him like a crazy old man, and the new crew thinks he's crazy too because of the way things are playing out. So it's great. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
You're asking me a question I don't have an answer to because it's almost perfect.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think I would have gone crazy old man though for future Picard because it feels somewhat out of character. Like, he doesn't feel. I know he feels like Picard in his other 2 versions a lot. That's the whole point. But it's like, why? Why that choice? I don't know. Of all the choices, it's like he's the hero of this entire 7-season arc, nah, he's a doddering old man. Let's all disrespect him, give or take, for good 30 minutes of this 2 hour.
Yeah.
It's weird, like all the choices. It's strange. And the fact that Beverly looks so young in comparison shows Picard must be like, what, 30 years older than Beverly? Like, they look much different in age. It's like, really? That doesn't, like, how are they the same age? To be, you know, like, small side thing. But
And don't forget the 3 Enterprises all together in the white anti-time thing.
Oh no, like, another cool Enterprise visual. And another Enterprise.
And that one has a third line of sight rule, boy.
Okay though, bud.
What's up?
And that one looks like the 6-foot miniature. That one the 4-foot miniature. What the hell? Where's 10 forward on the 6-foot? Gaiden, where's Gaiden? Although Gaiden's on this, isn't she? I just realized. Didn't get Gaiden back. I mean, I don't know where she'd fit, but you would think 3 time zones. She's the perfect candidate. But also, they already did that they already done that twice, so it wouldn't add too much, would it? I guess. Plus, if it's a Q fake reality, she wouldn't know anyway. Let's be fair. Unless she would.
Matt Boardman, $10. One favorite thing about All Good Things, that they didn't change everything at the end of it. I prefer series finales to be like the closing of a window. Those characters are keep going on as they were. Yeah, and just the way that ends, like you've always been welcome to play poker with us, and deals the cards, and the sky's the limit. And that pan out, it's like they're continuing their mission. Like it's not like the end of the 5-year or 7-year mission or whatever. So.
Well, it's because they were filming the movie in 3 weeks. Literally.
Well,
they didn't get any time off. I remember them saying, like, 3 weeks ago we were filming the low-budget TV show. Boom, now we've got new costumes and bigger cameras. Like, oh my god. But can we just have that cameras that set? No, okay.
Yeah. So that's my number 3.
Cool. My bronze. The one that just missed out on the silver. Let's see what I picked was... Intramural Darkleys, Part 1 and 2. The love letter to TOS. Now this is obviously a tricky one because it has so much platinum in it and some unfortunate bronze moments that let it down. But the platinum is absolutely platinum standard, but the balance is really weird. Like, Part 1 is a phenomenal build-up. Really good. And the payoff of seeing the Enterprise, or the Defiant, in the dry dock with the beautiful CG is really amazing. And the commitment to the bit that mirrors stuff, phenomenal. And then half of Part 2 is fantastic. Half of it is couldn't really care less. Which is frustrating, because just do more TOS walking around sets talking. You don't need to do finding the Gorn. You don't need to do chatting about, fighting Savol. Like, you don't need that stuff as much as other stuff.
You needed finding the Gorn, but you needed the Gorn to look better. More like the actual arena Gorn.
I would have either make it take less time, because so much of the episode, like we're on the Defiant. Let's spend 15 minutes going through dark hallways. Cool.
But you got to see your Jeffries tube. You got to see more of the TOS Constitution class.
But not in my only 40 minutes of content. I don't want to see 15 minutes of that. I want to see 5. You know what I mean? Like, this is the epic. Yeah. That's not what I came for. Like, it comes to this amazing place in Part 1, and then takes a massive slow dip. Then it picks up again. But I like it, but it should have been in a 3-parter, or, like, it's a good concept. Whatever. And just some other bits were just not. It doesn't have the potential it should have. Although I do enjoy so much of it, so I always enjoy the promise, the excitement of Part 1, and most of Part 2, but not some of Part 2, which is frustrating.
I'm the opposite
for me.
Way. I really
know you are.
All of Part 2, and like the last little bit of Part 1.
I wonder why.
Right. But anyway.
Duh. But just
again, that's a great picture. It's almost one that I would have picked.
No, I doubt.
Had I chosen this one.
No, I doubt. But like I say, that it's like it's so much potential, and especially this is like the last time we ever saw TOS ever really properly done. Like, I wanted more from the. I think as time goes on, I wanted more from, like, even. Because I also don't like the next two that follow. Like, they're not as good to me in any way, shape, or form. I know they're interesting concept, but I'd rather have. I mean, why wasn't this a 3-parter? Like they've had three-parters.
Mm-hmm.
This is a three-parter. They could have built even more sets. They could have spent more time. They could have had like this was the obvious three-parter. Like why you built the best shit you've ever made. Make it a three-parter. You know, Bacula's having so much fun, and Mayweather's having the best time not saying anything.
He looks badass though.
He looks
His
phenomenal.
hair in this one,
Mm-hmm.
it's cool. He should have had that the whole time, but
No.
whatever.
Thing is, they all are perfect in their role. Although I think T'Pol, she feels so post-Trellium addicted, even though she's not. Like she's so emotionful,
Yeah,
but she's not. But obviously, she lives in a semi-slavery society. Although she's not. She's actually a high-ranking officer. She's not a slave. That's the whole point. But but she plays it like she can't go back to earlier Vulcan. I kind of wish she played it more. Like she has so much quiver in her voice. Well, I love Savol's lack of Vulcanness as a counterpoint. Like the way he plays it is perfect. And the firefights are great. You know, killing every other ship in one is great. Connie. But yeah, it's a weird balance. Like 70% of it is platinum, 10% of it is gold, and for me, like 15-20% is like, oh, I just would throw that out. Not say the Gorn stuff, but like
it's rusty.
Yeah, it's rusty, which is just. Yeah. But it's still number 3 because of everything else so good. But misses that best bit for a few specific reasons.
Oh, very good, very good.
It's the best they ever made. So.
Well, 120 people here, 109 likes, guys. Hit that like button. Coming down to the last 2 here for each of us. So we'd love to hit some more super chats, get your thoughts on things, have your lists, some of your favorite, just like your top 3 two-parters would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Are you ready to go into my silver?
Well, I really would. I mean, as we're going to get to number 1, guys, we do need to get some more sort of 5 super chats. Say what you guys is your favorite. We're doing that by the end, but save those for a minute for sure. But yes, let's jump to silver, and then we'll let everyone sort of think about our gold. So what is your silver then?
My silver is A Year of Hell.
With Neelix in uniform.
Yeah. This, I think, is what a lot of people really hoped Voyager should have been, the whole series. And I kind of agree a little bit, considering where they were and what they were dealing with. Everything kind of goes to hell here, literally. Year of Hell.
Is there a connection there? Are you?
I think maybe, yeah. So as far as Voyager episodes go, this is like the Battlestar Galactica of Voyager. Only not as bad. I don't think Battlestar Galactica had it quite this bad, but they really ramp up the damage to the ship in like the 2 episodes. Destroying the sets the way they did was, you got to give them a lot of praise for that, because then they're fine again. It's like they did a fantastic job with set decoration on this thing, and also the Krenim time ship stuff is interesting enough as it is. So to tie those 2 together and have the ultimate sacrifice be, spoilers, these Voyager crashing into the thing and then boop, reset. It's just great. There's so much darkness here. I just wish they could have stretched this out a little bit more than cram it in 2 episodes. It's so satisfying to be 2 episodes. Don't get me wrong, because it's like a definite beginning and end. But this, I think, is what a lot of people imagine when they think of Voyager being stranded in Delta Quadrant and having to deal with the damage, and it's just too squeaky clean all the time. But replicators and things, I guess. So, you know. But yeah, that's why it's number 2 for me, because it is a fantastic 2 episodes, and it's so realistic in its in how they deal with things that it hurts to watch, you know. So
yeah, I've always found it an interesting concept. Now obviously this episode takes it to the extreme, so you can't take it as a true example, but saying I wish more of the season or the show was like this. It's like, do you really want to see the sets have broken LCARs, busted up tables and chairs, everyone wearing grubby uniforms? Like, I wouldn't enjoy that in the same way. Maybe like a 5-episode arc or a 6.
Yeah, but, mini-series feel, yeah.
But like a season of that, like it wasn't nice to see at the end of Enterprise when the ship is basically god damaged and they were still, you know, keeping the bridge okay, etc. Like it's not nice, and then justify it being fixed. Like this is a Starfleet crew. I don't want to see them being brought to their knees and make hard decisions and kill people and do bad things. It's like Like, just fix the damn ship. They've got advanced technology. They've got engineering teams. Fix your goddamn ship, and they do.
Yeah, but they got dead people that are lacking energy, so they're not being able to use the replicators. Like, it's all explained.
But in a very specific. But that's the point. They face a threat which is so obscene, where shields don't work. Like, that's the whole point. I mean, yeah, they could obviously do that in a larger situation, but they are able to be faced against a Borg level threat a la TNG every couple of days, give or take. That's why there's so much damage, and they can't keep up with it.
And Dystopian guy says, I would enjoy it, like seeing a year or so of this. Gritty and real, he says. Limited resources. I mean, I can see why you're saying that you wouldn't enjoy it, but at the same time, with the way the show was pitched, this is what I think a lot of people imagined it would be. And I think Ronald D. Moore wanted something a little more like this. Maybe not this extreme, because you're piling all this into 2 episodes.
There's a reset switch, so you can go to 15 out of 10, because it doesn't matter. There's fires on the bridge. It's fine.
This destruction of the ship would have happened over like 26 episodes or more, like a couple seasons. So you'd see the gradual progression. Some places, some parts get cleaned up, other parts get attacked again. So it would be a nice balancing act between the two. The uniforms, of course, they can be washed or whatever. So you still have nice uniforms for representation, but
it's just saying they fought Endgame with a bridge this trashed is like, it would take all the what I mean. Like, as soon as you start thinking, all of these good seasons and the bridge is just they've got 2 LCARs working. It's like that's not nice. It's not, what I mean. It doesn't add anything. A 2-parter. It's like the secret source of Equinox. They put everything in the kitchen sink in. Even a season because Enterprise, like, what part of Enterprise season 3 works is because the storyline is so strong. Just them meandering and fighting people and getting damaged isn't a story. Even the Krenim story for a year would be a hell of a stretch. How do you stretch that? Like, Enterprise was so distinct, and it was so gradual. I don't know how you'd even try do that, because then you'd have, if you don't have a reset button in season 4, 5, 6, then it's just 4 seasons of getting worse and worse. In case it looks like it just looks like Firefly at the end. But you would think regulation. We see them
in Star Trek and sci-fi in general. You've always got a reset button of some sort. They could have gone through 5 years of getting the shit kicked out of them, have the bridge look like this, and then run into Q. And
Q
go, this isn't acceptable. I know, but I'm just saying, there's always a reset button available in sci-fi, some form or another. So
I just think there's a reason why in the military they make you shine your shoes every day and make your bunk clean, because it's order and structure. You make time for it. That's most times you wouldn't let this ship get this damaged because, well, it's bad for everybody. But it does pay off in this episode. Like I said, 6 episodes. I would give you 6 or half a season, but I would not go any further than that. I would hate that, I think, honestly.
Fair enough.
I mean, the outside of the ship maybe to some extent, but also ruin the look of the ship with too much damage. Like BSG, you can't tell after some points, it's all just damaged grime. And XO1, it's so distinct because it's such a small ship. You're like, well, that's a hole, that's a hole, that's a hole. But yeah.
Sergeant Roadkill though throws in £5. They built Year of Hell up so much. I wish it had been a season arc. And how did 7 of 9 regenerate? Good question. I think she still had a regeneration chain.
Well, it's keeping her alive. They had to dedicate power to it. I think she was rationed herself to minimum.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the Doctor. His mobile emitter has to be recharged too. I know it's got 29th century tech, but and boy, if they hadn't had that emitter, he wouldn't be active. Or that moment, he has to close the hologram program to save lives, has to kill some people. Like that. That's it. It's like that's a horrible move.
Yeah, but that's my number 2. That's my silver. So yeah.
My
right,
silver.
What's your silver? Oh.
Yeah. What?
I was gonna say. I'm gonna do another quick like spike here.
Okay, go for it.
7 more likes, guys. Hit that like button. I want to get 120 likes, and we definitely need more super chats. So if you can,
yes,
there is the last super chat slot available as well. But Sergeant Roadkill's got £5 in there for that right now. If you guys want that, by all means, start the snipering now, and by all means, put in your favorite 2-parter as part of that, because we would like to talk about that if we could. We are coming down to the last 12-15 minutes of the show, so
Yeah, my number 2 is also Year of Hell. Hey.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit, son!
Well, I
Are you
have to.
surprised by my list so far?
Yes. You've got some
I
weird
think.
ones and some happy you've put them on there ones.
Oh, okay, good, good. So Year of Hell. There you go.
Well, I knew there'd be. Well, I also had to talk it up in a way that didn't make it look as if it was in my list. Like that was on purpose. I had to kind of give the other side
That's
of the
very
argument.
clever. Very clever.
Thank you. What's it? What you were very like? He's not going to pick this, weren't you?
No, I figured this would have been on your list earlier, but glad it's up here.
No, I mean, you know, it's again, just like most of my list. It's something that's never been done before, never in this way, never to this amount of success. It's totally different tonally. It's every character's a good journey in it, except Harry and Tom. You know, so many. It's a kitchen sink episode. You know, Tuvok goes blind. The temporal torpedoes, which comes back later all of a sudden, and it's so confusing. Or earlier, like whatever that confusing thing with Kess is. I still don't know. Confusing. The Chrome ships are great. The time ship is great. Anorax as a villain is great.
Mm-hmm.
My only issue with the Chrome time ship stuff is the sets aren't great. They're fine. I wish they were better, but luckily all the characters are good. It's that like, it's not as strong as this stuff, but it's not trying to be. It's trying to be its own thing, so it works. I'm glad you all agreed when you said your bit that like, they function very specifically, and so they work. But they could have been a bit more sexy, or you know, I'm thinking more purple glows on the inside, like a bit more vibe. But what a choice! You know, Red Foreman, not known for being time villain, but he's very, very good. He's very, very good. He's just right, because at the end of the day, he's doing it to save his wife. That's it. Like simple. That's it. That's the only thing. And you know, if he's turning people out of history, he's also saving people. You know, and the wonderful, wonderful imagery of a ship going from a light cruiser to a heavy death cruiser that can kill Voyager. It's like, oh no. And it's just, and then when they get temporal shields, it's a wonderful payoff. You know, the ingenuity of Voyager is one of the biggest things. They're always very clever, and it messes everything up. And the Krenim go from being this big thing, and you get to see time travel from the outside, which you never see. If time is being changed locally, and we're outside of that, and then they can at the end they take out temporal shields and they demolecularize a whatever the ships are called from history, and all the ships disappear, and it's like, oh my god, you know, their entire race went. It's, as we said, it's one of our best super weapon ships, because it's unimaginable rewriting of universe and death and whatever. Although actually the one thing it can't do is it can't change time, in the sense like it takes something out from history and changes the. But what if an asteroid was going to hit? Would the asteroid be reformed in the star system that it was at? Like, if an asteroid was going to destroy a planet and then it didn't because of a reason, if you destroy a race... Now, I guess it does change the universe around it. I guess I'm just thinking too outside of it, yeah. It doesn't change everything, yeah. We just get used to not changing everything. With the irony being, if they just let themselves get detemporaled by other beams, they'd probably been fine again at one point. It's kind of like in the other Voyager episode where the damaged one survives, which is a lovely twist. Yeah. It's what it's trying to be. It succeeds in every possible way. It's so dark, and it's so sad, and most of it, ironically, is underwhelmingly not actiony. Like, most of it literally just based on a broken ship with them trying to survive, but not in a big action way. You know, like, how is Tuvok playing with the consoles when he can't see? Like, that's explained. And, like, there's so many little things that are so small to the characters, which is great, because actually they spent all their money on destroying the sets. They haven't got money to do more stuff. So it's a very, very oddly done episode, kind of like Equinox as well. But yeah, for what it is... Very, very good. And it is more impressive in the smaller scales what Enterprise did. Well, Enterprise did obviously over a much longer arc.
Very, very impressive.
Yes. So yeah,
I'm surprised it's matching up on our list. That's great.
Yeah, none of them have, so that's awesome. Right, now, guys, we need an absolute like and super chat spike. I want to see several $5 for what is your number one, and or if you want to put in what you guys think our number one is going to be, or number ones. They might, should, could, would be different. So I want to know what your number one is right now. I want to see 10 fives or 5 fives right now. Let us know what your number one all-time two-parters is in Star Trek.
Speaking of fives, Mark Lawrence throws in 5 and says, just because.
That is a good just
Thank
because.
you. And Eugene, 500 rubles. If your number one is not what everyone thinks is your number one, that would be a surprise. P.S. I'd like to mention Enterprise Season 4 Forge Arc. Too bad it's a 3-parter. Yeah, there's a lot of good 3-parters in Enterprise that sadly couldn't make this list. So.
And the only problem with Enterprise 3-parters is they do put more faff in. They're not as strong because they have more time a lot of the time. Like, they're more drawn out. Like the I love the stuff with the augments, but the stuff on the Orion slave planet takes too long. It's too much of the 3-parter. It's just a complete sidestep from the cool stuff for me. It's cool, however half as long, 1/10 as long.
Yeah.
So Forge stuff is good, but it could have been better if they made it tighter. I don't know.
And Ozzy makes a good point. Red Foreman is the former Federation president of Star Trek. So the Federation president goes crazy. Becomes Enerax.
Yeah. And even just the makeup is great. Just the weird, it's gentle. And I like Chakotay playing the slow game of trying to work out the thing with the guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's got a bit of hair inside a non-temporal, it's just an interesting concept. Like, because as soon as you have time tech, it changes everything. And they also got time tech real early, because we don't know how long he'd been doing that. Neither does he probably at that point, because until Voyager enters the zone of space where it's locally affected. Because they do say, because remember, it's only a certain amount of space. It's not like the entire universe. Because Janeway, they say, well, a minute ago, this planetoid existed. Like, we were talking to a race, and then they don't exist anymore. Well, therefore,
they exist in a different form. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's only, which is really confusing. It means that ships that were trading with partners leave. Time gets changed to get back. It's like, why are you all blue? What? It's like that must have been a really weird couple of 100 years of time just changing this bubble. But you can't ever get close. So it's kind of like the Expanse in Enterprise. Anytime you get close, you get time changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really amazing concept. And it's just a gunship, really.
Yeah.
It looks like Babylon 5 and has Babylon 5 textures, but isn't Babylon 5. But it does have Babylon 5 textures.
Sergeant Roadkill, 3 pounds.
Ooh.
Rounding my super chats up. Scorpion for me made an impact. Yes.
Well, they all did. I think everyone in this list did for a specific reason.
Yes. Even ones that didn't make the list. Like, there's a lot of good 2-parters in Star Trek.
But it is a sliding scale. There's a lot of medium and a lot of not so good. These are the 10 best, I think.
wouldn't say there's a lot of not so good. There's a few not so good. There's a lot in the middle.
Okay.
Because really, Descent is the only one I think that's really bad.
I don't like the one with Picard faking to be the dude.
The Gambit?
Yep. I don't think those work either.
Not as a 2-parter. That would just been fine as an episode.
Yes.
I don't know why that was a 2-parter.
YOLO.
Dystopian guy, Stormfront was good. Yeah, Stormfront was good.
Is that my one?
That was a 2-parter.
No, that was the Enterprise one.
Enterprise, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. It's weird, but it's good. Don't like Terra Nova, that 2-parter. Enterprise. I don't mind the one where Archer goes to the future and sees the Destroy Federation. It's just not great. It's not great.
Past Tense from DS9 where they go to the Bell Riots. I thought that was dumb, personally. Wasn't a fan of that one.
I get it.
As much as I love time travel stuff.
Yeah, I get it. I like some bits. I don't like other bits. I'd call that a low medium. The acting's great, but I wouldn't enjoy it. It's a Guardian of the Edge of Forever. It's in the Edge of Forever. It's like that sort of thing again.
Yeah.
Also Menagerie. No, yeah, Menagerie Part 1, Part 2. It's their only 2-parter. Wouldn't be high on my list, but it is a 2-parter.
I never even considered that one.
Trying to think the other TNG ones. Birthright. I like some of part 2. It's the Worf.
Oh yeah,
Worf finds the half.
DS9.
No,
Yeah.
TNG. Worf finds the what about
Voyager and DS9.
TNG and DS9.
TNG and DS9. Yeah.
Yes. And there's another one for TNG which we just watched, which isn't the best. Just watched it.
Redemption.
Yes, which is against 2 parts. So those ones
better than we remembered. So that's a good thing.
First part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because the middle is like, but those ones I just said were like not so good, and those are quite a few not so good in my listening. Yeah. Guys, no one has a vote for their top one. Like literally, no one did. Guys,
Sergeant Roadkill put Scorpion, so
that's true. But he said it made an impact. Didn't necessarily say number 1.
Listen, Jericho says the stupid 4 Lights episode. Yes, Chain of Command. Is that
I would put higher. Yeah. And yes, Mario, I wasn't. They were different episodes, I was saying. Yeah, 4 Lights.
Chain of Command, I wasn't a fan of.
It's a bit more gimmicky than it should be. And also, again, half of it, a third of it isn't so great. A third of it is really phenomenal, and a third of it's okay. But the not so great pull it down quite a lot. In my brain. Yeah. For what I can recall.
I just don't like the torture stuff. I can't really handle that.
I like the torture stuff. It's I like the first half of the torture stuff. Because the acting's so good. Guys, anyone else for your favourite one? Oh yeah, Workforce and Voyager.
Workforce is fucking awful. I hate that episode. It is so boring. I don't care. I don't understand it. I don't care. It's just dumb.
It's an interesting concept. It's got really great Voyager scenes, as weird as that sounds, with the 3 people, ECH. That's fun. But you're right. It's like let's talk to people versions of our characters we don't care about, and then undo that by the end. It needed some real weight. Like one of them gets married and brings someone to the crew, or someone has a child and brings someone to the crew. Like some really good consequences for that to be meaningful. Like Jeremy's pregnant. It's like, oh shit, that's a consequence. You know. And it's got but it's a fun. It's a good idea for a story. It just doesn't. It's like a Descent. Good idea. That's the only good thing about it. Oh, and the Hirogen hologram 2-parter. I like.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
What's the name of that one though?
Hunters. No, that's a different Hirogen.
Killing Game.
Yeah, Killing Game. It's got. Oh, I don't know.
Voyager had the most 2-parters.
Yeah.
Caretaker, Basics, Futures End, Scorpion, Year of Hell, Killing Game, Dark Frontier, Equinox, Unimatrix Zero, Flesh and Blood, Workforce, and Endgame.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, Voyager had the most out of all of them.
But which?
Yeah, I didn't mind the Hirogen Hunter one with the World War II thing. Thought that was pretty well done.
It's more silly fun in a graphically non-fun way.
Yeah.
And also, last thing, we'll jump into what we thought. Oh, Sean O'Neill. SG-1 did Workforce better. Yes, it did.
Yes, they did.
Much better.
Much better, yes.
All right, Stuart.
All right, well, let's get to our number ones because we're at the 2-hour mark.
Mm-hmm.
So, you guys want last super chat slot? Super chat. Doesn't matter how much, just send us a super chat. $1 even. All right, so my number 1 is, no, it's nobody's surprise, In a Mirror Darkly.
Oh.
As you said, the love letter to TOS. It was fantastic seeing the TOS bridge, or a TOS bridge, not the, because it's different railings, in widescreen, filmed beautifully. I'll argue with anybody that says it can't look good today. Seeing an evil everybody. Archer kind of overacts a little bit, but whatever. Mayweather being badass. Dr. Phlox inventing the agonizer booths, essentially, which was a nice touch. But yeah, seeing the Defiant from TOS, Tholian Web being pulled through. Again, there's a lot of really great stuff in this one. And the Gorn could have been done better, but I appreciate the fact that there was a Gorn in it. And I thought the fight scene was pretty interesting with the grav plating. Like I love that that's on the floor of the TOS Enterprise. You just never really get that detail. So seeing more of the ship, you got the Jeffries tubes, and like I said, part 2 for me is a lot better than part 1. I do love once they find the Defiant at the end of part 1, but up until then, it's just kind of for me. But again, tying in like TOS Enterprise and the Mirror Universe together was a fantastic idea, and I think it turned out really, really well. I just wish it would have been carried over to Discovery with like the actual Defiant being shown or explained a little bit better, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's my number 1. I'm pretty sure All Good Things is a better episode, a better set of 2 episodes, but because of the TOS aesthetics of this one, I have to give it to this one. Just the way it works. So,
look, I think you got the reach around for this one, and that allowed it to be number 1. But you know,
yes,
I will, like I said, I will sing this one's praises to the end of the earth. It just has a few moments, and when there is only 72 minutes of content, when you have like 12 that aren't as good, it's like that's so annoying to me, you know. And I find all the mirror stuff at the start great because it's a beautiful build. It's a great establishment. Everyone gets a great establishment. The different vibes are great. They commit fully. The sets look great in that context. They actually work better, ironically. And like I say, the build up is key to get that Connie reveal. And certainly, you know, that shot of everything turning on, it shows they put all the money that was needed. And it's sad because it never looked this good in TOS. It never looked this good after the fact. And to think that, you know, the most vanilla of all the shows made TOS look the best is somewhat sad in its own way. And I certainly hope that, I know the Avalon universe do a very good job making TOS look more modern. Hope that someday I can jump to TOS sets and film something and maybe not be this dark because it's real dark, but, you know, make TOS look.
I like the dark.
I know you do.
More realistic.
Yeah, just less functional. Because, you know, light.
No, I hear you. But
yeah. I think the Gorn does a good job for its CG at the time. It's actually a very detailed model.
The fact they use artist silent phasers is great.
Makes them count. And the fact they do disintegration in a graphically gruesome, beautiful moment. And then, I mean, what another great ending. I mean, no one could see that coming, let's be honest. Hoshi killing thing. And then, like, all this time built up this great character of Other Archer. He dies as lots of great men embedded with a great woman in the old days. And then it's just like, oh yeah, because the Lego wanted to take, and then Hoshi comes in, you know, 4 seasons.
And Mayweather is like right there, like yep. He's like,
I'm now her bitch, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
because I'm a queen's bitch, empress bitch, and it's great because you somehow buy it from her. Like 4 seasons of being one of the secondaries, and then she has a moment of just real power, and you buy it 100%.
Well, she's very quiet and demure, kind of, and scared of everything, and you know, kind of timid.
Yep.
So yeah, it's actually great for that reveal. So.
And not, I mean, we had, I've said this a few times, but the Discovery villain in season 3, the Orion, didn't quite have the charisma to be venomous and aggressive. That Hoshi, for those few seconds, had real presence. And I have read half of the book. That was the follow-up, and it's really good to see, you know, when Hoshi kicks ass, and she eventually marries Shran, which is kind of cool.
What's the name of the book?
It's like Shattered. It's like a multiple. There's one mirror book from one mirror story from lots of all different eras, but I only read
Shattered Mirror?
Something like that. Yeah.
There's like a graphic novel of that, like called that.
Yeah, it's something, but it's not a very long thing, but it's fun, and it's like how she keeps control of it. And then Discovery shit all over it, which is sad. You'd think they'd give it...
Yeah.
Like, it's a reference that they failed to do properly, given... Like, the very least, they should have gone there and peeled... That doesn't matter. They don't care. Whatever. Moving on. But yes! Who's surprised, guys? Who's surprised?
Yeah, who's surprised by my choice? Put in the chat now, or super chat. But Samuel, I have a feeling I know what yours is.
Oh. Descent Part 3 and 4. The unmade Descent parts, where Law comes back and says, what's her name? What's her name?
Giorgio.
No, I'm thinking Picard. What's the lady? Soji? Tabuchi? No, who's it?
You cut it.
What's the lady's name in Picard? Is it Soji Tabuchi? What's her name?
You cut out.
Oh, because I was making. That was a good joke twice in a row. Can you hear me yet?
Yes. Say it one more time.
Okay. Who's the girl in Picard, the Data's daughter? Something like Soji Tabuchi. What's the name?
The Jazz?
No, the daughter. Daj and Soji. See, Soji, yeah, Soji Tabuchi, Soji.
Yeah, Daj and Soji.
Right, Daj, yeah.
Sutra.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I wish, yeah, in which Law goes off the Daj and does all things. Boy, I was also making a Red Letter Mia joke. Right, no, yes, of course, All Good Things gets my number one on the list because it is it's more vanilla than a lot of these, than Equinox, which is much more hard hitting, and a good character study. Endgame, which is a better movie, with much better visual effects and style, and Year of Hell, which is a much better character study as well. But this one is the epitome of a classic Star Trek story, the positive, simple, with characters, with sci-fi, with time travel, with cleverness, and with self-understanding of your own show. It doesn't try for that much. It's actually much more simple than you think. But by having three timelines, you get to make it a bottle show that feels like an incredibly full show. It's still just a bottle show with two slightly tweaked bottles, and that's great. No, it's the last of the simple shows. You never have something this pure Star Trek again, really. I'm sure Gene would have been so proud of this one. For what that's worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a real love letter. Apart from Picard being treated as an old, stupid man, and he makes some odd choices, but like I said when you talked about it, it's an alternate non-future, so it's just a version. So it didn't like who cares? In a small way, who cares? Although obviously love the consistency of the future uniforms and the future comm badge. Thank you to Star Trek for being consistent until Discovery and Picard. But and we both love alternate universes, time travel, and alternate timeline universes. So having three uniforms is great. They kind of gave themselves that. They kind of gave themselves that blessing by having a drastic uniform shift without realizing that would pay off dividends. So imagine if they had the same uniforms in season 1, there would be no great payoff in that. So by having having Tashiar be killed, to give that universe its own vibe, like. If the show hadn't been the show, it wouldn't have had the payoff it had, and so that's it's a happy it's the sum. The writers team had a genius idea, and it was genuinely genius. And the Dreadnought's great, Tomlock's great, Q's great, and the Vineyard's nice. I wish I had more money behind it. I wish I had a movie budget. It would have been cooler, I think. But. It's you don't get many satisfying ends, and it's more well-rounded than say Endgame. Plus, they're characters you like more, all of them, even if they're not all given lots of good stuff necessarily. So yeah,
this is definitely my number one for like best series finale for sure.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
For all those reasons, I just love that our top three are the exact same, just with our character, with our personality, just. Switching the two.
And you know how much I love these Into Mirror?
I know. I was wondering where it was going to place. I thought maybe number 2, but
this is a better. It's more vanilla, but it is just better overall. But that doesn't mean it's not got more guilty pleasure love stuff. Yeah, and it's funny knowing how much Gates hated wearing the old age makeup. She didn't like looking at herself in the old. Which I always thought was kind of funny. She resented that, and she asked for actually less old. But yeah, I mean, it's iconic for a reason, and we like the simplicity of 3 timelines, etc.
Very good choices.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene, 297.24 rubles. There are $4. Why not Chain of Command, though? It has David Warner and Captain Jellicoe, P.S. Binary Stars, and Et in Ecarta Ego. Oh, Discovery, though. Chain of Command's all right, but like I said, I don't enjoy watching it because of the torture stuff. I mean, I like the Jellicoe stuff. That's great. There is some good there, but overall, there are some slumps in it. So that's why I didn't make my list.
I know you're joking, or you must be, because you're more cogent than that. But yeah, Chain of Command. The problem with Chain of Command, the Picard stuff is very one note. It's a phenomenal note, but it's one note. And everything with Jellicoe it feels like a bottle show. Like, it really feels like we've only got a few sets. For whatever reason, to me, it doesn't feel creative in the way it should do. If it had more Cardassians, more ships, more whatever, but it just feels it doesn't feel like an epic two-parter. It feels like two small episodes linked by a common story. These all feel like two-parters with, even Into Dark, there are sort of two distinct episodes, but they have this really strong through line that's like the entire point. And a Binary Star, oh god no, are you kidding? That's one of the worst two-parters. Absolutely awful. It's one of the worst episodes of Star Trek. On its own merits. Like, obviously there's, for having 3 times the budget, and, you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously worse episodes of Star Trek, but not with the same budget, time spent, ability to do, like, what it could achieve and what it did achieve. And is the Picard season finale, also terrible. First part's better, second part's absolutely atrocious. Horrible payoff. Worst season finale for a long time. I know you're joking, but boy, 2 awful choices.
And Shannon Nash, All Good Things is number 1 for me. Best of Both Worlds is number 2.
So, let's go through Stuart's 10 list. Just to reiterate, as you said, we're going to talk briefly at the end. Where did we go for this? We had... Go, Stuart.
Oh, Encounter at Farpoint, TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Future's End, Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
Best of Both Worlds, TNG. Way of the Warrior, DS9. Equinox, Voyager. Unification, TNG. Endgame, Voyager. All Good Things, TNG. Year of Hell, Voyager. And In a Mere Darkly, Enterprise.
And for me, Dark Frontier, Voyager. Stormfront, DS9. The Search, DS9. Scorpion, Voyager. Way of the Warrior, DS9. Endgame, Voyager. Equinox, Voyager. Into a Darkly, Enterprise. Year of Hell, Voyager. And All Good Things. So actually, we have got a few different ones.
You got like 5 Voyagers, 4 TNGs.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Voyagers, yeah. So half a Voyager.
Yes. Yeah, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Voyagers.
Yeah, 5 Voyagers, 3 DS9s, 1 Enterprise, 1 TNG. Thing is, Voyager has the best two-parters. Like, they have the most.
Has the most, though. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they're all. I mean, if it was just like percentage-wise, like they have really, really, really good ones. And the fact that Enterprise has 1 really good one, at least in our both opinion, I only would give TNG. I wouldn't. Obviously, we don't share that. I don't think TNG is particularly good two-parters. I think they all let themselves down. And then DS9, I had other ones for specific reasons, for like meaning something reasons, like turning point reasons, because they're not just a 2-part story in the DS9. They are still part of this grand DS9 arc, but they're so distinct in their 2 parts, which is unusual as well, because they like doing a billion stories, etc. So guys, if we can get $17, that'll round us up to a pretty low number, but hey, we won't complain. By paying your top 1 or house prized, are you with us, etc., etc.
Right now, Eugene has the last slot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And as you said, Stuart, we'll be doing a best cliffhangers probably this week. And I'm doing filming this week for my short treks, or trek shorts. I've started saying that the wrong way around because it was in my head for a while. Now I keep saying short treks, but it's not. It's trek shorts. Yes. Not short treks. What? Star Trek. official ones are called. But yes, as you guys know, I've been doing my Trek shorts, the fan things, and we'll do it live about it presumably next week and a Saturday at some point. Because I'm doing Indiegogo right now. I would say desperately need funds, given that I've spent most of the money already to invest to get things needed for the shoots, which is the problem when you want to shoot stuff in the summer. Because, I mean, we both know Indiegogo has a habit of not paying quickly. So if I want to film the next 3 months, I've got to buy stuff now. The annoying truth of that, etc., etc. I'm at 32%, 2,401 out of 7,500. Some fun perks. I'm going to put some more perks on at 15 days, which is halfway. And believe me, there's definitely some stories you want to see, guys. And Stuart knows all the stories. And I think he'd agree with me that there's some fun stuff there.
Lots of, I would definitely check it out, guys. Definitely want to see these made. So.
And I will certainly say there are Tholians coming back in 1, 2,
Folians.
3, or 4, at least one. And
there'll be Folians too. I'll be the leader.
That would be funny. Invent a new race, and I'd have you dub them in weird, like, squeaky voice. Hello, I'm the Tholians. Hey.
Eugene, 150 rubles. By the way, isn't TOS Menagerie a two-parter? I mean, yeah, but I didn't really even consider it because it's just the cage.
Yeah,
so.
It's a two-parter made up of clips. Unseen clips, except unless you've seen them, because you know all Star Trek. At the time, unseen clips.
James McGill, $2. Why TNG didn't do a Mirror Universe episode or two? Because they didn't want to. Because they explained to us that's a one in a lifetime kind of crossover scenario. They didn't want to make it a. I know, right? I would have loved to have seen one, but yeah, it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, no, it would have been really, really fun. I think they would have had a lot of fun too. Well, I think they would have felt a lot of pressure to do them a certain way. But I mean, hey, go fuck Descent. Just kill it.
Yeah.
Stab it.
Yeah.
Have a mirror. You know, have the Borg take data into the mirror universe. Now you've got, there you go, laws of the mirror universe. He pulls, there we go, law plus data, law plus Borg equals mirror universe. And Law has to use evil Picard to fight Picard, and he gets to speak with a French accent. The scummy Borg have infected their blood, and they must fight you. Yeah. And then Patrick will be like, oh, I hate this accent. I'll never do it again. Cut to 4 years later. Yeah.
Am I not sufficiently, how do you say, sinister?
Thanks, Patrick. You made a great choice there. As in, didn't get a choice. He's a paid actor, but you know. $12 more, guys. 12 more. And then tomorrow we'll do something. We'll see what we'll do tomorrow. We haven't quite vibed in which we're going to do. And of course, Friday something as well, because I won't be around Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. And I'm glad our lists were quite different, because I knew they would be, because I thought we would just think of different things. I'll actually have interest.
Top 3.
Well, they're good for reasons, Stuart. Well, I'm intrigued. You said, remember, a few hours ago, this was the hardest list for a while. If you'd remembered my ones as well, would it have been as hard? Like Scorpion and some other ones. Like, would that have made it easier?
I had them all on a list. It's just, it's too many to choose from. There's too much good stuff to go through. I just hate when there's so much good. I just gotta whittle it down. I hate that.
Because I thought you meant you couldn't think of ones, and I was just like, really? That's so.
Oh no.
Okay.
I had them all. I just, when you first said it, I was like, holy fuck, how many is that? I gotta look that up. And there's no list.
No.
Through the seasons and really like, okay.
Well, luckily you can throw TOS and Enterprise almost out completely because there's so few. Like, there is a certain shorthand to that, luckily.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh.
Anyway, guys, we'll call that quits. So
Thanks,
thank you so
James.
much. We'll be back tomorrow with something, and Friday probably. So.
Wish me luck tomorrow. But yes, we'll see you soon, guys. Have a good night. He's got a Friday. And that's 3 Picards.
Bye.
Bye, guys.